Welcome to the show. How you doing? Show Equilibrium. So today we got a special guest on the Jason Miller one at a time for Terrence. How you doing, Terrence? Tell the people what's up.
Hey, what's up, humans?
You
I'm
hear me,
Terrence.
Terrence?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Danny?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear, bro.
Okay, yeah.
I can
What's
hear
up,
you.
humans? It's Terrence, and you're chilling with my buddy Danny doing our show.
Good deal. Next is our guest for the first time ever on the show. He's been a big supporter on the chat. This is Mr. Jason Miller. How you doing, Jason?
I'm good, man. Good to be here. I'm proud to be on the show, so thank you very much. Peace. Love what you guys do, man.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Before we get into it, everybody, please hit the subscribe button if this is the first time you're viewing the show. For myself, we go one of our topics going to try and get Terrence's on the show because he's being a little stubborn, but we're gonna work on that. Also, do you have a show too, Jason? Channel?
No, I don't. I have a channel. I've never done anything like this before. First time. Figured I'd try
Okay,
with you guys. Thinking about getting into it.
that'll work. Well, until they do it, please subscribe to the channel. Please leave a thumbs up. Please leave any comments because your comments I read and I always respond back to it once I see your comments because it's important to me what you write, what you say. I want to hear what you got to say, and I will interact with you. Please hit the notification bell because I don't want you to sure that I upload on the channels that I do. I got a show on Monday nights along with Chris Knight and Sean Stackhouse called The Chaotic Conversation. Did one last night called The Chaotic List. I'll be on Chris's show tomorrow called The Weekly Rumble. And I'll also be on Chris and Sean's show in my show on Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time called The Rule of Three. And of course, 6 p.m. every Sunday Eastern Standard Time, me and Terrence show Equilibrium. The reason why we're doing it today is because last Sunday my job prevented me from doing it. I had to go take care of job work, and so I wanted to make sure I got the show out. So that is why we're doing it today as a special viewing. But anyone that's here, thank you. We appreciate your support, 1,000%. And with further ado, we're going to go into the show. Now, many of y'all watch my channel every week. I try to sometimes a little longer, sometimes a little less. I try to pose a poll question. Last one I posed, one that's not currently up now, is should Terrence get his own show? And he was like, "Man, my last show things didn't go right. And I'm just kind of aggravated with it, so I ain't messing around with it. So I'm just gonna stop." And I told him that I had too much talent. His shows were too funny. That he should start his own show. That way, he has control. He can put on what he wants to put on. He can take off. He wants to take off. He ain't gonna worry about it. Sometimes partners don't work out. Be it business partners, family partners. Sometimes it just don't work. So stuff like that happens, then that's when you get your own stuff. So then you can do what you want to do, and the only person you got to worry about is yourself. So before we get to Terrence, I'm going to ask Jason, what do you think about that? Terrence get his
Oh,
own
I
show.
absolutely agree with you, man. I've watched his videos, like I was telling him earlier. Watched the lasagna video, made me laugh. He has the same opinions with me on Black Lightning, so I like to watch and listen to what he has to say. Definitely, man, you should do your own channel, 100%.
Okay, Terrence. After hearing this, and after hearing what we said yesterday on the show, you still leaning towards saying the hell with it.
Oh, I very much appreciate all the support and all the kind words that I've been hearing from a lot of different individuals. And sometimes in life, you just never know what's in the air. You might look up one day and the air is clear, but then next thing you know, you end up with a new channel, or you look up in the air and maybe it's not so clear, and then you don't have a new channel. But right now, I'm just kind of moving through life and walking down that dusty trail, and from time to time, I end up on someone's stream. Most of the time, Danny, good friend of mine. So I guess we'll have to see what happens.
Okay. It looks like you drinking an excessive amount of stubborn juice. You might want to break that cup.
You do your own channel. You got your 10-hour stream right there, man. You can do
Yep.
it.
Yeah,
You know
10
what I
hours every
mean?
time. Every time you come on.
You know?
I
Oh,
don't what
my bad. All I heard was strawberry juice. What I missed?
no, not no strawberry juice. Stubborn juice. Stubborn.
Stubborn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I said you get your own channel and you could do a 10-hour shift all you want, bro.
that's right. You stuck on 10 hours. I can't do no 10 hours with you, bro. That ain't gonna happen. I'll give you 3, but I can't give you
I
10.
see. Maybe one day, you'll get to 10. When the
You get your
skies
own
get
channel,
bright.
then you can do it. Every Basically an excellent idea. You get your own show. Hell, you can do 10 or 20 hour streams anytime you want to.
Could have
Don't that
special
make
guests.
sense?
Could have special guests every 2 hours, every
Yep.
3 hours, have special guests. Just keep
Yep.
going for 10 hours.
Yep. Keep it rolling, bro. You can do it.
Yeah. No, I hear you. A lot of things are possible with that particular avenue, and I guess I have to take in consideration what's been told to me. But at the same time, I think it's one of those things where you just never know. And I guess I should know, which I do, but you never know. You guys might be surprised.
Okay. We'll see. The next topic is going to be what was your hell yeah moment? I put that up on my channel,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to try and show you the results. As you can see, different things was Captain America using Mjolnir against Thanos in Endgame. That was 22%. I can barely read it so daggone small. Aquaman fights Ocean Master, like 2%. Captain America saying Avengers is 10%. Tony Stark putting on the Iron Man armor for his first mission was 16%. And chopping off Thor's head looked like 6%. So I'd like to be the least out of all of them. I like when Captain America said Avengers Assemble, but to me, when he caught Mjolnir, that was more exciting to me. What do you think?
I agree 100%. I agree. The Avengers Assemble, to me, it was like he was going to say it. You know what I mean? You didn't know if he was going to grab the hammer or not. But to me, he had to say Avengers Assemble because he's never said it in any of the movies. So
Yeah,
I felt that was coming.
yeah. Like I said, how about you, Terrence?
I remember in the first Avengers movie when Cap had the different characters and he was going on that Avengers Assemble stuff, and I felt like you can't do it better than that first time. But what you can do is do something that's familiar. But when you're talking about Cap catching Mjolnir, I was wanting him to do that since they did that little thing in the Age of Ultron when you had the different Avengers messing around with the hammer while they were at the party drinking and stuff. I was like, yeah, he can definitely pick it up, and so can Hulk. So I want to see Cap and Hulk pick it up and use it. So when that happened, it surprised me because I didn't expect it to happen there, but I figured that they might do it at some point, and that was definitely the perfect moment to do it. And it did what it was supposed to do. It made everybody happy, whether it be people that were aware of the comics or not. They have been following Cap for many years, and it just delivered that knockout surprise. So it was really good.
I agree. But you said Hulk has lifted the hammer before, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Hulk has lifted
definitely
the hammer.
lifted it up and tossed it at Thor's face, just full on like, get out of my way. I'm Hulk. I'm the strongest there is, as he likes to say all the time.
That's why I had a problem with Hulk in the movies. I think they watered him down way too much.
Yeah,
I think they watered him down.
yeah, like they definitely watered down a lot of the characters. Thor, Hulk being another one, uh, Scarlet Witch being another one. So
Yes. Yeah.
it really, when you get to scenarios where they water down characters, they tend to do that for the basis of whatever story that they're telling. They need to be able to have
I
these
don't think it.
characters function in that particular storyline.
I don't think it's necessarily watered down. It's kind of hard to put six people, six alphas, just going at it full throttle the whole 2 hour movie. You don't have enough time in 2 hours to do it. So you got to pick and choose their spots where
Well,
they kind of, because they're gonna
yeah,
always give the the lion's share of the badass time. Iron Man, Thor, and Cap. Just like we said the other day, you didn't care for it too much. But whenever Captain America saved Wanda and Vision in London, and that was one of my all time favorites. Scenes and Cap, like he just on a different level. His fight style. And go ahead.
yeah, like yeah, yeah, I hear you, Danny. Like I get what you're saying, but if they were to write the movies a certain way, then you can deal with their power as they do in the comics. You just have to write it that way. In terms of Cap catching Proxima Midnight Staff, that was amazing. But while I was happy, at the same time, I was just like, there's no way that that should happen. Like he should have disintegrated. But it's like it's moments like that where I have to divorce my knowledge, because otherwise I'll just be sitting there shaking my head, and I have to kind of look at whatever they decide to do, like how the whole situation with Hulk, being watered down. It's like, well, they need to make my boy be Hulk. Like the scene where he fought Thanos, that's Hulk. I mean, granted, he got his ass whooped. That was supposed to happen, but I would have preferred for that to continue in Endgame versus the Professor Hulk thing, because the Professor Hulk thing was only necessary off the basis of that ridiculous time traveling stuff. Because otherwise, they didn't need to do that. At least not right then and there.
You think the regular Hulk would have been able to make the snap with the glove and not hurt as Professor Hulk was? Was he a little bit weakened since he was mixed with Banner and the Hulk?
Not so much that he was weakened, but like
I
later
mean,
on with
the
the
Professor Hulk's strength is not the strength of the regular Hulk, correct?
no. It's a little bit more nerfed, but it's not that far off because he's still the Hulk, right? So like Professor Hulk is the difference between him and say regular Hulk is that Professor Hulk is a lot more intelligent, but then there's also like regular Hulk when he's intelligent too. It's not to the level of Professor Hulk, but you still could have interchanged that and just showed the audience like, okay, this is still Hulk, but he's a little bit smarter, and you could have wrote it in a way to where you could have had that Hulk do the snap, and then gave the fans what they wanted of a round two of Hulk versus Thanos.
But I don't think Professor Hulk could ever get the rage that the regular Hulk would get. Because they say when Hulk gets madder, gets stronger, right? But when
Right.
he's raged, I don't think Professor Hulk could reach that level because Bruce Banner is always there thinking about things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's very true.
And
There are different levels to the Hulk for a reason.
hasn't like Hulk always beat Thor in fights? Like,
Not not always. Like in terms of the comics, it's a little bit back
mm-hmm,
and forth. It depends on the scenario and the story. Because Hulk has beaten Thor, and Thor has beaten Hulk. So when it comes
gotcha.
to um, doing them in some sort of live action adaptation, you can really have it go either way, and it would be fine. There's no really right or wrong in those particular situations.
That was my biggest issue with Ragnarok, though. I hated seeing Thor beat Hulk. Hulk's my favorite character from when I was younger, so I hated Thor beating him in that movie.
Right.
I didn't like it.
Yeah. No, I got you because even though it has happened, it does depend on the way that you do it, and the way that
Hmm.
he beat Hulk was kind of silly. I mean, but as is the
I thought so.
nature of that whole movie, like I
Hmm.
enjoyed it, but it was really silly. So when you get
Yeah,
to
it was.
Hulk versus Thor, that fight is in conjunction with the rest of the theme of the movie. It's pretty silly in its approach.
I like the first half of the movie, but the rest of it, once they get to the planet, I just lost it from there.
First half.
Once they have the,
Say it again.
sorry,
What movie?
no, I was saying Ragnarok.
You
The
didn't like
first
Thor
half of that.
Ragnarok?
I liked the first half. Once they got to the planet and they had the fight, after that, it was just too much jokes for me, and I wasn't feeling it
I
after that.
like
Like
I like Hella.
I like
Another
Hella too.
old
I,
hell yeah movie where the old shit was and she destroyed Moon there. I was like, oh
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah. I
why they
didn't
didn't
think she
mention
could
that
do
the other
that.
night. I didn't either. I didn't know she was that strong.
Um, Now, for me, the only reason why that was not a hell yeah moment in the theater is because they showed that in the trailer. It was at the beginning.
True.
So
Yeah, that's
it
true.
didn't I didn't have a surprise factor. It was still cool, but if they didn't show that in the trailer and I went to see the movie and then that happened, then it would have been like, oh, she destroyed Mjolnir, you know. So sometimes you have to be careful to not put your old shit moments in the trailer. What you want to do is
Hmm.
you want to put enough in there to where you can get people's attention because you don't want your trailer to be boring. You want it to have some stuff in it that's cool, but something like Hela destroying Mjolnir, you should have left that out. You could have had a
Yeah,
scene where she was like punching Thor in the face, and that would
yeah.
have been just as exciting.
Hmm.
Unless the rest of your movie is just dynamite. That's the only way I would do that. Unless the
Yeah,
rest of it is just like, oh, unless you got about five old shits, I would have definitely
yeah,
wouldn't have put that one
right. It
in
really, it
there.
just comes down to how they
Thor
market it.
didn't have five old shits.
No, it
Hmm.
didn't.
I'm confused on how they keep changing the power level because it's my understanding that World War Hulk is like the apex of the Hulk's power, right?
Wait, say that again, Danny.
I say the way they keep changing Hulk's power, when he's just very, very strongest, is World War Hulk, correct? I mean, like
Yeah,
shit
yeah,
ain't nothing touching him. That's the apex of his Hulk power. Would that
yeah.
World War Hulk be able to even be in the same league with Thanos? Because I'm thinking there that World War Hulk has Bruce Banner's intelligence, same page, and they're like, okay, want to get rid of us and destroy us, all bets off.
Um, well, here's how I would have to break it down. Um, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we got
Yeah,
you.
Okay. All right. So, uh, Thanos at base level, without any sort of Infinity Stones, is able to fight a full powered Galactus and a full powered Odin. I'm talking about Odin using 100% of the Odin force. Like those two characters separately are too much. It takes multiple teams of superheroes to deal with those two characters separately. Thanos was able to fight both of them and not die when they both attacked him. So you apply that to Thanos fighting Worldbreaker Hulk, it would be the equivalent of you got like a really good MMA fight is going back and forth, but really it's going to be Thanos' experience that beats Worldbreaker Hulk in the end. That's what's going to happen. And to point to an something that we have seen would be an Infinity War at the beginning when you have not only Thanos' much superior strength, but you also have his experience in terms of fighting. He knew exactly where and how to attack him, and he wrecked him in just a couple of seconds. That is what you get from experience.
You don't think Hulk should have put up a better fight though?
no, Hulk is
Um,
more savage.
yeah. The Hulk is more
It,
savage, like, but in the context of Infinity War, even
Hmm.
if the fight would have went say 3 minutes, the end
Hmm.
result would have still been the same. Because
Yeah, I thought Thanos would have beat him for sure.
yeah, like so from an
it,
entertainment standpoint, I could see how people wanted a longer fight, but I'm like, from a writing standpoint, you don't write it like that. The best way that
uh,
you show the audience that somebody is really powerful is to have them beat up a really powerful character very quickly. I'm not talking about minutes back and forth. It's just a slaughter. That way, people that don't know these characters know, oh shit, Thanos is a problem. Did you see what he just did to
Mhm.
the Hulk? So
Yeah.
their hope is essentially stripped away. They're now thinking, how are they going to beat this dude if this dude not only wrecked the Asgardians, Thor is on the ground, he snapped Loki's neck, and he beat the crap out of Hulk in seconds. Like, what are they going to do?
I agree. I think that fight would have been more like impactful if Hulk had beat Thor, and like he's lost to Thor and he's lost to the Hulk Buster in the movies, you know? So for me, I didn't really find they had like the power of Hulk. Like you're a comic guy. You remember in the comics where they separated Bruce Banner from Hulk
Yes, yeah,
and he went crazy and he like they couldn't stop him, you know? And I
yeah,
know Hulk's not that strong now, but I figured in somewhere in between there, that's the kind of Hulk I was kind of looking for.
I
yeah.
think
That's
I've been reading a little bit of Immortal Hulk, and
mm,
he's on a different level. The stuff he's doing now is just crazy. I stopped at about episode three. I mean, but not episode three, but
Comic 3.
third book in the series. But he's, I mean, I don't, the way they right now, he can die.
well. Here's the thing. Actually, if you pay attention to the scene in Age of Ultron when Scarlet Witch, when she takes over the Hulk's mind and he's kind of rampaging through the city, and
Yeah,
Iron Man has to use the Hulk Buster to stop him. That is the closest example that you'll get to Bruce and Hulk being separated.
Mhm,
Because in that moment, it didn't matter that Bruce was there because he was just a pure rage monster. There was no control, there was no reasoning. Even when Iron Man tried to talk to him, it was like, no, he was like trying to murder Iron Man. But the thing is, because Hulk was not the driver, he wasn't the driver. He was ultimately being controlled by Scarlet Witch. If it would have been exactly like Bruce Banner and Hulk being separated, he would have murdered Tony Stark. He would have just been dead.
mhm,
That would have been it.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like I said, in that comic book, man, like Hulk destroyed everybody. Like they couldn't stop him. I don't even remember how they stopped him. I think they had to put Bruce back inside of him, but he was a beast in that comic, man. Like he was really a beast in that series.
They, I mean, Doctor Strange and them had to send him away off the planet. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
that's essentially how you get the whole Planet Hulk
Pla-
storyline.
hmm
Where he has
hmm
to become essentially a god of a planet because they just couldn't stop him. He had already killed a bunch of heroes, and Doctor Strange and the rest of the survivors like, hey, we got to send him away. Like he has to be off the planet because this dude is gonna kill us all in a second.
hmm Yeah, that's right.
Um. Okay, let's see. We want to. I don't see any questions in the chat. Um. Next thing is Eternals. Are any of you excited? Or you either you excited about it? Indifferent. Don't give a damn. Think it's gonna be all right. What's your thoughts on
I'll see it, but I'm not really excited to see it. It's like I don't really know much about them anyways, you know, but I like Marvel. I like what they do, so I'll go see it. I didn't know nothing about Guardians of the Galaxy, and I loved the first one. I didn't like the second one, but I'll see it.
it? Are you parents?
Because I am a Marvel fan through and through, I definitely have some excitement for it. I am aware of the Eternals quite a bit. The Celestials creating them and the Deviants. They're they're very much rich in terms of Marvel lore of them being very historical type characters. And how much they're connected to so many powerful Marvel characters. And depending on the nature of the storytelling, like they're probably going to spend some of the movie in the past and then work their way into the present. And if they do focus on the present, it would have to be the thing where there was like this huge event that happened to where they like lost their memories and shit, and they were kind of moving through society thinking that they were regular people, only to find out in certain moments like, oh shit, I can bench press a car with my pinky. I can teleport halfway across the world. Like, what the hell is this shit? you know. But then at some point they do get their memories back slowly. In the case of the MCU, they'll probably do the whole I don't know, like maybe when Hulk did the snap, you know, maybe because of the ripple effect that somehow had enough power surge to give them back their memories. They'll find a way to work it into the context of the MCU, but the Eternals characters are very complex in nature, so the movie will probably have more explaining than any MCU movie ever made because the average
Mm,
person needs to understand, okay, what's the Celestials, what are the Eternals, what are the Deviants, you know, how come they're fighting, and it's a whole lot of history to unfold in 2 hours. So you really do have to find an intelligent way to do it, and they've done things to these characters. Like I know they did a lot of they've made them different ages and races and genders and stuff, and I hope that doesn't take up the plot when they should be focusing on the characters themselves, because if they do that, then the audience is still going to be confused about the characters, which is something that you don't want to have, especially if you're going to keep them around. They need to go into the movies like, I don't know a damn thing about the Eternals, walk out going, oh
mhm,
okay, these are the top
mhm,
three Eternals that I like, the rest I don't care for. Or, you know, would you want to see them in present day with the Avengers? Because a few of them do end up joining the Avengers, so it really just depends on what they decide to change, and I kind of have to see it for myself to notice how much they've changed or what their focus point is going to be. It should be interesting, even for me, um, with the knowledge that I have, to see what they decide to do with these very bizarre characters.
interesting. Who do you think is going to be the big baddie in the new phase of Marvel? You think it's going to be Galactus?
Um, I well, it could be a few people, like because they'll probably figure out who they're gonna have like for the next 10 years. You know, that could be
Mm-hmm.
either Doctor Doom, that could be Galactus, that could be Kang the Conqueror, and a lot of people they know of, like say a Galactus or Doctor Doom, but a lot of people are not familiar with Kang. And
Mm-hmm.
Kang would be interesting because he's a Fantastic Four villain. So if you want to keep it different, what they can do for the first movie is have Kang in there, and you can have Doctor Doom in the background because the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and the X Men all had to team up to fight Doctor Doom at one point. So that could just
Mm-hmm.
be like a crazy ass kind of slobber fest going on, which would also be very different because you know that would show the people like, damn, you need all those people to fight him. Like, is he worse than Thanos? And it's like, not so much that he's worse, but he's just as big of a threat for many different reasons because of how
For sure.
much, you know, Doctor Doom has pretty much interacted with almost every single Marvel character ever,
Mm-hmm.
like in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So he is so connected that it would make people's heads spin. But back to Kang, no. Kang is actually connected to Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. Like Kang's real name is Nathaniel Richards. You know, he's like a what they call a time traveling entity. This dude has
Yeah.
been throughout all phases of time. He has like this crazy ass technology. He can essentially hack into any technology because of how advanced his own technology is. He's a great fighter. He's a great historian. Like this is the kind of dude that just from his knowledge and inner workings of how society and powers and everything operate, his intelligence alone is a problem before you get to anything physical. He's that kind of dude where if you find out about him, as soon as you find out, the next 5 minutes should be figuring out how you're gonna stop it. If you go,
Mm.
oh man, I heard there's some dude named Kang around, and then say you wait like another 25 hours, you'll probably end up dead because of that.
King is that bad?
Yeah, Kang is a badass, absolutely. He's one of those characters where like a lot of people won't mention him because they don't know him, but that's the
Mm-hmm.
power of the character. Like the surprise of how beast he is. Like so, people if they do him right in a movie, then more people would probably look into him. Like this dude is pretty badass for somebody I've never heard of in my life. Like, how does that happen? And that's like, for you doing your first Fantastic Four movie, what better way to do it than, because since we had a bunch of them already that are all bad, and all of them have had Doctor Doom, to make
Hmm.
it fresh, which is what Kevin Feige likes to do. Why not start with somebody that's badass that people don't know about, and then you work your way up to Doctor Doom again?
Yeah, that would be good. I agree with that. I agree with that. You don't want to bring Doctor Doom out so soon when all of the movies had Doctor Doom in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So you want to do something different. That's what they did with Spider-Man. They wanted to do something different. So I could see them doing that with Fantastic Four for sure.
yeah.
For sure.
So, yeah, it could be like Kang is someone where you could keep him around for a little while, in the sense that I guess it depends on how much they decide to do with the Fantastic Four and the whole multiverse kind of thing, because Kang could work really well with the Eternals and present day. Like, he's just he's one of those characters where he just keeps popping up. You're like, I thought they killed this dude. He's like, nah, I actually figured out a way to clone myself so I can be in this time period. I'm like, okay, so you're cheating now. Like he's that much of a problem. And I feel like if you get into the whole Kang versus Reed Richards in a battle of intelligence, that alone would be some crazy ass shit to see on screen, like how they try to one up each other, and when Reed
Mhm.
Richards finds out that he's actually part of his family, like, oh shit, then he's gonna be conflicted, and it's like, how does he deal with that? So
Be
I
interesting
don't
to
know
see.
much about Kane, so I don't. I have to brush up on him. I am leaning heavily towards Doom. Um, Doom is just charismatic. In fact, I was watching the Avengers on Disney Plus just last week, straight to the Doom episode. In this episode, Doom stole a destroyer from Asgard and had control of him. Went to the elf realm of somewhere, one of them Heims, and it stole some kind of crown that controlled this big ass monster thing. And he was just steps ahead of the Avengers and Thor and stuff. And only thing that really snapped him back in reality is that he has an intense love for his country. Made him see that he was destroying his country, destroy it, just kind of taking over everything. Then that's when he was strong enough to break his connection to the destroyer, and they were about to take him to jail. He's like, nah, y'all can't do that. No, this is my country. And in fact, I'm gonna give you about 5 minutes to get up out of here, or you're gonna feel my wrath. So Doom is definitely a badass.
oh,
If you thought Loki was a badass, then I think Doom is Loki times 10, maybe times a
oh,
hundred when
oh,
it
oh,
comes to badass.
he's 100 times worse than Loki. Like, that's not even like wait, which Avengers show was it? Avengers Assemble, or was it Avengers
Three different
Earth's
like
Mightiest?
Avengers. I think it's Earth's mightiest. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
good. Yeah, that one
Um,
was good. The Avengers Assemble that they changed it to match the movies, that one's trash. I don't like that one.
People talk about Disney Plus, but I'm enjoying it, especially now. On my job, I got 5 days off. This is the first of my 5 days. I'm gonna binge watch any and everything I can watch on Disney Plus from my childhood. People were, I think 2 weeks ago, I said, man, I broke down. What's the movie? The guy that can't speak, if he talks, shatter stuff. Inhumans. I broke down and watched
Oh,
Inhumans
goodness.
last week, 2 weeks ago. Oh, I
Oh
can't believe you
boy,
did that. Hey, look, what you gonna do with all this time on your hands? I got so in order for
man.
me to intelligently speak about something, you know, watch it, whether it's bad or good. So now I
Yep,
can intelligently speak about it. Go ahead.
I couldn't get past the first episode.
that
I watched
show.
the
No.
first three, and I was like, "Oh, this is thinking." So let me see how this shit ends. So I went straight to the last one, and I saw how it ended, and I was like, "Okay, well, I've watched 40% of it, so I can speak on it 40%. 40%.
They're
Man,
better
that
than me, man.
see that show. It's like I watched the whole thing. I was gonna go to the theaters to watch the first two episodes in IMAX, right? Because they use IMAX cameras to film the show. And the only
Mm-hmm.
reason why I didn't is because they said 2 weeks from now they will show it on ABC and premiere it with the rest of the show, and you'll get an additional 20 minutes. So that is the only reason why I didn't go. Because I'm like, well, I guess I'll just wait for that extra 20 minutes. So
Got
that's what I did. And I was like, yeah, this show has potential, but it's just really bad. Like me knowing the characters made it even worse because I'm like, the Black Bolt character, he's cool, but he's kind of nerfed in terms of what he should be doing, and he seems to be very, very flat. All the characters, the Inhuman family, they're very flat. There's nothing really special about them outside of what they show you that they can do, and that's a
Yeah.
problem because they're some of the most strangest characters in Marvel Comics. There's no way that they should feel like that. I'm like,
I don't
how the
like that
hell
gas. That gas. How does that gas make? You said it the strangers what in Marvel?
some of the strangest characters in Marvel,
Okay.
the
What?
Inhuman royal family?
But to my understanding, any human or a specific race that can go under that gas. Is it Turgon gas? What it's called?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they definitely went over that in Agents of Shield better
Shield.
actually in terms of
That
the
tur-
Yeah.
Inhuman.
that Turgon gas is what I guess awakens their inhuman potential
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah. If they don't die, of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think well the way they did it in the show, no one died, but either they got it or they didn't get it. If you didn't get it, you kept more or less like a slave. The only reason why the prince who didn't get anything was kept alive because he was a royal blood, and they were kind of having a little bit of about that because he's not minds and all this kind of stuff. Shit, he's the very one that betrayed him and got the people on his side. So
Man,
he's the
I man, I told my friend to just watch Agents of Shield season 3, like the whole thing, and I'm like, if you want to see some stuff with the Inhumans, that's what you watch. You don't watch that Inhuman show, which should have been
Hmm.
better. But I'm like, no, Agents of Shield spent more than 23 episodes covering that, and they showed you what happens if it doesn't take. They could die, they could get sick, maybe they're fine, they don't have powers, they have powers, and you get to see a lot of different abilities. Quake being one of them, who's a main character, and it's
yeah
just like they handled it so much better there. I'm like, people that don't know the Inhumans, luckily, like nobody watched that show. That's like one of the lowest rated shows ever in terms of anything comic book related. Just nobody watched it, which is good because
A- Agents of Shield, you mean?
no,
no
Inhumans,
inhumans.
Oh, and humans. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah,
Horrible. Yeah.
because if more people would have watched it, man, they'd have been like, man, I'm done with these characters. These characters are terrible.
Hmm.
I'd be like, no, it's not like that. It's the damn show. Now, since you brought up Agents of Shield, I gotta say that show, I like it, but a lot of people they fell off after the first 10 episodes of season 1. So that
Hmm.
show has also had very low ratings, but because it was on ABC and Disney was backing it, they were able to keep it afloat, which a lot of people
Yeah,
don't
Hmm.
know about. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
the
I can
the
believe that.
the surge in the show actually picked up for a brief moment in season 4, and that was because of Ghost Rider Robbie Reyes. He was a main
Yeah,
character uh,
Hmm.
for that season. He had the longest arc. He
Hmm.
had like 8 episodes, and then you had the LMD
Hmm.
arc, then you had the Agents of Hydra arc. So I was saying like if you can give him one episode where it's just him, I will be happy. They gave us 8. I
Hmm.
was like that is more than what I thought they were gonna do, and that was like the best case scenario because I'm like it's gonna be expensive to do the flaming skull like for 22 episodes. That's
hmm
gonna be stupid expensive. So especially when he's having these full blown fight scenes and shit. So but they did it for 8 episodes. They backed off. They brought him back near the end of the season, which was cool, and he was dealing with the ghosts and shit. That was
Hmm.
awesome. But most
Only
people,
thing I didn't like him in the car. I like him better when Nicolas Cage Bill tried on the motorcycle.
oh yeah, yeah, you talking about Johnny Blaze, but Robbie Reyes got that car though.
I liked the car.
Yeah, the
I like the
car,
motorcycle. I like the motorcycle better.
like
Yeah.
the motorcycle was cool, but it's just there's something about that damn car. Like when you see a
Hmm.
car coming, that shit's on fire. You got gas coming from it in the comics. You got skulls and shit popping off of it. I'm like, that is a problem because it's bigger than a bike. So I'm like, hell no. If I see some fucking car coming like that, it's time to leave.
I
Like,
mean, the
fuck
car was
that.
nice, but that transformation of that bike when I first saw it, I was like, oh shit, that shit
No, I feel you.
riding upside the side of a wall and shit, riding on water. I ain't saw a car do all that. If you ride
Well, I
upside a
mean,
building and ride on the bridge
well,
rail, I'm like, what
I
the
mean, Robbie
hell?
Reyes can do all the same stuff that Johnny Blaze can do with his car, if need be. But
I got you.
in terms of that first Ghost Rider movie, I did see it in the theater. That was like right around the time I graduated from high school. I liked it, but I'm like, this is kind of mediocre. Like, you need to do better with the
Well, I like the
sequel.
first one way better than the second one. The second one is like
Second
he was
one was
going
trash.
crazy,
Yeah, the second one was
and
trash.
he turned that big ass what was a bulldozer or something into a damn hell
Like
bulldozer, I guess it
I like
was.
that scene. Like, it has a couple of scenes that I like in terms of the use of his powers, but the storytelling is all bad and wrong, and it's a contradiction to the first movie. Because in the first movie he got control, but in that one he had no control.
Lost control, yeah.
Are
Like
these writers
the
paying
longer he
attention?
had it, yeah, the longer he had it, like the crazier it was running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
that.
let's get to some of these questions. Enjoyed asks, how do you guys feel about Venom 2 staying for the October release date? Um, I personally have a problem with it. I think stuff of that kind of nature that comes out around Halloween will have a stronger opening weekend. Um, I like the fact that Andy Serkis is in it. I think he can make whatever part he plays. If he plays a part, I think he's gonna make the Venom and the Carnage look more creepier or more authentic if he has any kind of say so in it because he's like the master of that kind of animatronic, whatever. I can't think of the word that he does, but he does anything like he does when he goes into characters, whatever advice he can give to Woody Harrelson and keep forgetting the guy that plays Venom.
Yeah, Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. He can give them any advice or point them in the right direction. I think that's only going to enhance them. What's up, bro?
Oh,
You hear me?
Yeah, what's up? How y'all doing?
All right.
what's up, man?
I like the avatar, bro. Kind of hot. Is that Damien?
That's Jason Todd.
Jason Todd? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I just go through all kind of avatars. I got all these pictures in my phone.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, Terrence? I had old man Yamamoto yesterday.
You were talking about Venom 2, Danny?
Yeah. The question was, how do you guys feel about Venom 2 staying for the October release date? I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Hopefully this virus crap is done and they don't push it like another 10 months or something like that. But at the same time, while there is some excitement in me because I like Marvel, because I did not enjoy Venom 1, I'm just like, on the whole, I need to see what it looks like first, because the first movie was very mediocre, and I was watching it for 2 hours, and not once did I see Eddie Brock or Venom. I'm like, what is this? This is the I came to see these characters. What am I watching? And the villain was one of the worst villains I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was just a generic dude in a business suit that I can go to Albertsons right now, and there's probably 3 or 4 of him in the whole store. I'm like, no, this is not okay. Like, once I get over the whole uh, the scenes where it's really silly because of the stuff that Tom Hardy and the symbiote are doing, I'm like, I don't care for that. So hopefully, Woody Harrelson, he does a good job as Carnage, which I think he will. But I'm just not on the movie itself. I'm not fully excited. I'm excited, but I need to see it because I have a feeling they're going to water down Carnage a lot, and he needs to be able to let loose. And I know we're not going to get an R-rated movie, which is sad, but we shall see. because if they did anything to Carnage like how they did with Venom and non Eddie Brock, yeah, I just sometimes when I see those images and information about Carnage or
They
Venom
need
suit
to.
rather, I just roll my eyes, man.
Thought it was okay. I didn't think it was a great movie, Venom. I liked it a bit, but like you said, it was a little bit silly at certain points. I'm not really concerned about them keeping it. As long as this virus stuff is gone or this crisis is done, you know what I mean? Then yeah, keep it in October because people are gonna need something to do, man. You know, once the crisis is over, people are gonna go out. They're gonna need something to do. So
Yeah,
I don't
that's
hate
that was a
Venom.
smart move.
I don't hate Venom as much as people. I've heard people say it. Is it the Venom that we're accustomed to seeing in Spider in the comic books and on TV? No, but we all know the multiverse is alive and well in the movie. So
They need
all I
to.
do is just say this is a Venom from a different multiverse, and I was happy with it. I didn't feel like I wasted my money, so
They could
I
do
was
that,
cool
but
with it.
if they're gonna do that, they need to somehow work Venom into the MCU because they going into this Thor: Love and Thunder. That storyline leads to Noel, the symbiote god. So at some point they're gonna have to retcon them
Wrong,
into that
wrong.
because that's what that Thor: Love and Thunder is leading to. Gore the God Butcher.
I
I
know
think
what you're
But
that's what they're
like,
saying.
believing.
I know
yeah,
what you. Go
but
ahead.
I don't know. Like for them to show the symbiote god, I feel like that's a bit of a stretch for right now. Like I feel like they're not gonna even touch that. They're gonna do a bunch of stuff where like Danny said, he enjoyed it. Like I don't hate the movie. I just thought it was kind of whack. I'm like, this is not Venom. This is trash. I'm like, you messed up this character again. They did it in Spider-Man 3, and then they
hmm
messed it up here, just in a different way. I'm like, when are they gonna get the characters right? Eddie Brock is supposed to be an asshole bodybuilder with
hmm
cancer. The Venom symbiote was supposed to start with Deadpool, then Peter Parker, and then Eddie Brock. And the symbiote itself has a bunch of rage because of all the rejection, and you mix that with Eddie Brock, and you get the whole Venom thing. We have a venomous relationship. There was none of that. All I saw was Eddie Brock being all nice and kind. Oh, I'm sorry. He's all apologetic. And then Venom feeding off of him, telling him, oh, you should apologize to your girlfriend. Venom would never say that shit. He would be like, should we fuck her ass up right now? Like it just there was a lot
hmm
of stuff that made me roll my eyes. And then they did the whole riot thing and he was defeated in 2 seconds. It was very lackluster. I didn't like it. Didn't like it.
I can see where you're coming from, man. Like I said, they because they made Venom a good guy, they had to change things around for him, and that's not Venom. I get it, but I didn't think the movie was bad though. I thought it was okay. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
okay
I've
with
I've seen worse, but
it. Hmm
they had the opportunity to do something really epic, and instead, what they did was they made a character that looks odd because Venom does look odd. The average person, they don't know who he is. They're like, "Oh, this dude looks cool. Let's go check it out." We know Tom Hardy. The movie's making everybody laugh. They had a good time. Some of us not so much, but I'm like, okay, you
hmm
succeeded. Your movie made over $800 million, so it's not so much that you did anything wrong because people like it. Good for you, but it doesn't hurt to do things the right way because the average person, which is most people, they don't know the difference anyway. So you might as well do it right.
hmm hmm
Yep.
I couldn't agree more, man.
Like I
Couldn't agree
think it
more.
was
Sometimes,
but go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say. Sometimes I find they changed unnecessary things in the movies. Like they'll change a character with certain things, and it's like, why did you do that? If you kept them the same, it would have still been the same movie. You know what I mean? So I agree with you.
Exactly. It takes way more effort to do all this changing the character, where the character comes from. Now they're a different gender. That takes way more effort than going adapt this. It doesn't need to be
hmm
page by page unless you're going to do like Sin City, which is like the most accurate comic book movie ever made. but usually they're
Mhm.
not going to do it like that, and I don't expect them to. But it's like you can at least make it to where it's close to something that I've read instead of just this great departure. Like, and if it works, it works. Like, I'm not completely against changes, but like when you do what I saw in Venom, I'm like, this is not even the character anymore. He just looks like him minus the Spider-Man emblem.
Hmm. How I felt when I watched Queen of the Dam. One thing right. Aaliyah was the only thing right in that movie.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, that movie was bad. I'll watch it
Man,
Man,
just for Leah, but other than that, no, no.
man,
exactly. You're like,
if you
oh,
read that book, she's the only person that fit her character. Everybody, well, Lena Olin fit her character, but they still didn't do the character really justice because it was supposed to be twin sisters. And
oh
Mhm.
shit. See, I didn't even know that. Like, all I knew was when I was a kid was like, there's this bomb ass black woman that has vampire teeth. I'm gonna watch it.
oh,
That's the only
oh no,
movie.
in the books, man, Kasha she was the first vampire, but she made these two women. Well, she made her head guard a vampire because she was a queen of a town of Egypt, like long before Cleopatra and all of this. She was supposed to
Right.
be the queen of the Nile. And when she got turned into a vampire, she made her husband into one, and then she made her guard into one, but he didn't want to be one. So the two redheaded women that she had him rape in front of her whole kingdom, he went and made them vampires to fight against her. And then for 6,000 years, they was just out there.
Oh,
But she
see,
did
like,
some crazy stuff to them. She took the two twins whenever they were made. She took one and cut her eyes out, and the other one she cut her tongue out and put them in stone coffins, and sailed one to the east and one to the west. And they
see,
was lost
damn.
to each other for 6,000 years. So that
Oh
the
my
movie
God.
missed that part because who killed her in the book was the twin sister that she cut her tongue out that was lost in caves for 6,000 years. Like she came back and she wasn't trying to talk to Akasha like the rest of them was. She just straight kill her, and they didn't
See,
put none of that in the movie.
see, that's a lot. Like when they do like these different adaptations, books, video games, whatever, so have you. It's like when you get that main question, how come they didn't just do it like that? It's because they didn't care. Like all they did was see something that's recognizable to a certain group of people, and they're like, let's just make this. And when you don't have passion and you just throw something together, you know they're only in it for a month for the money. It's a business, but it's better when they want to make some money, but they also care about it from a fan perspective. Like, what I like this shit that I'm making. That sort of mentality.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Some it's like
you
this.
like
I walk in the Foot Locker. I know I want Jordan. Be bop over to the Jordan section, and I see $250. I'm like, uh, give me some Pumas. So that's how I am. Yeah, would I like the Jordans? Oh yeah, I definitely want the Jordans. But if I can find something in my budget,
I mean,
or a cheaper pair of Jordans, then I'm gonna go to the cheaper pair of Jordans.
I
That's how I
like
think some of these movies
I
are.
like the Queen of the Damn movement. I'm just saying. I read the book, and from what they cannibalized that book, like they
But
just
that's how
so
most books are. Most books are better than the movies.
the
There's
one
only
movie that I've seen
there's
from a
only
book that I think was close as you could get that got real close to being like the book was Ender's Game. Like I read that book back in high
Oh,
school, and that movie was real close to the stuff that
I
went
tell
on
you
in
one
that.
that was true exactly. Harry Potter. All those movies were just like the books.
See, I
Just
never read
like
any
the
of the
book.
Harry Potter
I read
books.
all five. I read all of Harry Potter movies. I read all of Twilight. Twilight was nothing. The book was much better than the movie.
oh, okay. I gotta say this because you mentioned the shoes. Like when it comes to the shoes and their prices, like sure, you're gonna go with what's in your budget. But to me, the difference with movies or making a show is that okay, they have their budget, and now it just comes down to the creative process and whatever they decided to do. Obviously, was within their budget, and they could have did something else that also was in their budget, but they just decided to go with the particular thing.
Go.
I'm like, you did some extra shit like the character is supposed to have black shoes and blue pants, and they just make the
Oh,
character green. I'm like,
oh,
wouldn't it take more money to spray paint them and add all the green than just to do the shit that I told you on the
Oh, but
piece
you
of
just
paper?
said just now. You said a few minutes ago that in the Ghost Rider, man, it would have cost a hell of a money for they do 23 episodes with all the flaming stuff. So they did what was in their budget, and you still like the product.
But
Some
that's
stuff you're
because,
gonna,
but it
some
was
stuff,
accurate though.
And some people can do it. I know some people can do it at a budget and get like Underworld.
That
Instead of
yeah,
going CG crazy, they just say, no, we're gonna make suits, we're gonna have CG, and we only I think they even use like claymation and some stuff, but whatever looked good for the shot,
right. Yeah,
that's what they use. And that's why the movies look pretty good. I mean, that the part with him flying
they,
after
they
that
look
truck and stuff
they look damn
look
good. I've seen
Yeah,
I've
they
seen
do.
all
and
of them.
and
Yeah.
what
I
I'm
mean
saying, about
some
Ghost Rider, Danny, is that I can forgive if you can't use him for 22 episodes, but the 8 episodes and really like 10, like outside of his arc, but like the time that they used him, it was accurate to the comic books. So there is nothing wrong with that. Like I understand if you're like I can't use him, but when you do use him, how do you decide to use the character? Because it's one thing if you can't make the little effects look a certain way, and it's another thing if the character is completely unrecognizable from what I know him to be. As soon as Robbie Reyes showed up, when that fucking car came, I'm like, that's Robbie Reyes. He gets out of the car. That's the exact same jacket. He got his gloves, his backstory, like everything was on point. I was like, to me, the whole Fire Skull thing is just extra. It's just extra.
Yeah,
you
It was.
know what adaptation I'd like to see done. I'd like to see Guillermo del Toro do it too, is the darkness.
Yeah,
I think he would make the darkness look
yeah,
real crazy looking.
yeah. I agree.
I'm not
uh,
familiar with that.
I
That's
am
kind of
either.
like it's kind of like Venom. I mean, the darkness it ain't so much a suit, but it's when he's in complete darkness, he can do all kind of stuff. But there's one in the
Hmm.
book, the compendium. He flays the dude, sends the darkness in the dude's nose and flays him off of his skeleton.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah, yeah.
like he
Oh, that's
is on some
hell.
other stuff.
Yeah,
Ninja said, "Go ahead."
uh, no, I was just gonna say real quick that I hope they get Nightmare right in Doctor Strange too.
Yeah, Nightmare. I don't know if I'm familiar with Nightmare.
He's
He's kind of like he looked kind of like a giant elf to me. His hair looked kind of crazy.
it,
Like that. I think his suit is green, black
yeah, yeah,
squared or whatever.
like the best way to explain it to people, like if you don't want to go into it, is that picture Freddy Krueger but 100 times worse. That's Nightmare.
Right there.
Mm.
Oh, fry you just a little longer.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger would kill himself if Nightmare was coming. I'm telling you that right now. He ain't gonna be
Mm.
doing how he was laughing when he was fighting Jason.
Jason. That's the kind of fights you want to see.
Oh
I
man,
That
I'm
movie
trying
don't
to
was
familiar with that, man. I have to look him up, see him.
Yeah,
pull him up.
he's
Hold
pretty
on.
cool. Like I think Danny, I think all of you guys would like Nightmare. He's just that's
Yeah, I'm familiar
allowing
with him.
yeah, that's the character where you can do a really horror movie esque kind of storyline. You know, wish it was rated R, but you know they can still do it.
I don't think Disney will do it. They're going to keep
I
Deadpool
don't
rated
know.
R?
They said they were,
I will
but
believe that when I see it. I don't
Those are
believe
I
it
different
That's
don't
what
pictures.
now
I'm
know.
at all.
saying. Me too, man.
Those are
Oh,
different
okay.
pictures
Yeah,
of him,
yeah.
Javion.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's my boy right there.
Is that no? He ain't. That ain't. They ain't the guy that's like over dreams, is it?
Yeah,
Hmm.
he's in
That's the
Thor.
one
Yeah,
He
that
worked
he
with
gets his power
yeah,
from all the nightmares of everything in
yes,
Yeah.
existence. And okay,
yes.
yeah,
he works with the
yeah, he's the
sorcerers a
one.
lot, if I'm not mistaken.
I have heard of him before because he was the one that there's some main villain they had that came through and took over his spot. What was that guy's name? But it was this dude that was trying to make an anti-universe.
Yeah,
He was
yeah. I know who
basically
you're talking
like
about.
the opposite of Eternity. He was Eternity's twin, I guess.
Yeah,
But he was taking out Sky Fathers and everybody. That was the storyline where Hercules had got all the power to give everybody the ability to fly, and they
Hercules, man.
all flew flew to fight.
That's an asshole right there, man. They gotta show him.
Mentor said Stormbreaker was stolen by Doctor Doom. Okay.
Yeah, Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom has stolen so many weapons and technology. It would just surprise
Powers.
somebody.
Let me tell you,
Yeah.
which Terrence might know this about Doctor Doom. I don't know if Danny know this, but Doctor Doom in the story arc about the what's his name, the Marquis of Death.
Mm, mm.
The Marquis of Death came and he had assistant with him. I can't think what they call him. I don't think it was protege, but then he had a second hand man with him. But when
Yeah,
he came back, Doctor Doom was who he had give all this power to beat the Fantastic Four, and Doctor Doom had never done it.
right.
So he was disappointed, Doctor Doom. So he turned Doctor Doom hard into like stone and turned his blood to acid or some shit and tossed him millions of years back into the past.
See,
Doctor Doom taught himself, went and learned magic from all the way back then up to now. And when he came back, you found out that the second person, the dude's second man in command was Doctor Doom, but he had changed himself so much with magic that the Marquis of Death didn't even know it.
see
So the whole
that's
time he was fighting a past version of Doom, he was actually with the future version of Doom, and he didn't even realize.
see, man.
That's the kind of
That's the
stuff
shit
Doctor
that
Doom be doing.
that's the shit that be irritating me about Doctor Doom. It's like you have so many people in Marvel that he has defeated, but then the ones that he hasn't, it's like you would be able to defeat him if he wouldn't be talking so much. Like he
So
likes to
much.
let you know how you got your ass whooped.
Mm-hmm.
That's his problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, come on, dude, kill him. Like, no, let me tell you, Reed Richards, how I'm 10 times smarter than you. Let me tell you how I caught your ass this week. Like,
And yep. They changed him for that for a while, but I think he might be going back to the old dude. When he was Superior
I,
Iron Man, I don't think he was really like. Well, that was after he admitted that Reed Richards was a better man than him.
yeah, I think that was out of, I think that was out of spite. Like in that moment, like, all right, Reed.
okay, we of
It'd
course
be
most people, including Terrence, beat Superman. You think Doom could beat Superman?
Wait,
Doom,
wait, what?
probably because Doom got a lot of magic.
Well, here's the thing. Like, okay, every time I hear this whole, Superman is weak to magic, that is true. But you have to understand that the magic user has to be in a position to not only use their magic, but to kill him in the process. Like Superman, in terms of Doctor Doom, you can just incinerate him. Like, why does Superman even need to get anywhere near close to Doctor Doom to kill him in the first place? I mean, he deals with people like Shazam and Black Adam and
um,
Constantine, like all these different
I
magic
know, but
users.
Doctor Doom's dealt with people like Galactus, and
This
then
is true, and
Galact.
but Superman has dealt with people like Spectre, the Anti Monitor, Dark Side. I mean,
Well, that's
them DC characters be on a different power level, just on average.
Doctor Doom would make his own kryptonite for Superman.
He
You know what I mean?
he
I,
would
I
he would
wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
I'm telling you.
like Doctor Doom can
If
definitely beat
And
Superman,
you
but
if
think
he found
Doctor
if
Doom
he
is
found
bad?
out how to make gold kryptonite, and this ain't nothing I'm making up. This is stuff that DC
I
writers
know,
made up.
I know.
This is Power Way, correct?
Yeah,
You
it
don't
takes your
think
power away.
Dean? You don't think Doom would find that shit and be like, guess what, Clark Kent?
Because he ain't gonna go and just
Okay, but
like it'll be a while
that's
before Superman realizes Doom is there.
okay. Here's the thing: like these things can
Batman will have
definitely
to
happen.
tip him off that Doom is there. That'll be what saves him.
That's probably true, but like here's the thing: like Doctor Doom can definitely beat Superman. I mean, Superman has been defeated by Toyman, so it's like Superman has been defeated a lot. So this notion that he can't be defeated is ridiculous, and I have
A lot of
never
it depends
ever
on
been
which
that.
version of Superman Doom go against too. If he go against True Blue Superman, yeah, he probably kill him. If he go against Superboy Prime, no Doom dead because Superboy Prime don't give no second chances, and
Or Strange
he is
Visitor
the
Superman.
strongest version of Superman. Kryptonite don't affect him. Red Sun don't affect him. Nothing affects him. He's Superman with all the power and none of the weaknesses.
It could be Strange Visitor Superman as well. Like this dude's power is enough to hold up an entire universe, and in his
Oh
absence,
yeah,
the universe
the
collapses.
Thought Machine, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, but the Thought
So
Machine won't ever come back. That's too much.
So yeah, like
They said that that
it
was just
does depend on the Superman, but it also depends on the writer. Because you can write a story where Doctor Doom beats Superman, and I'm like, yeah, that's very plausible. But you can also write a story to where Superman beats Doctor Doom, which is
mm,
also plausible.
oh yeah.
I want to
It
see
always comes.
but the next bad guy in Marvel. I want to see Doom because I always thought it was cool when we could see how inside Iron Man armor was. I'm a little pissed they didn't show Ryan Coogler didn't show how it looks inside of Black Panther's readout. I like that kind of stuff. Um, I want to see how Doom stuff would look. See
There's
him
a reason for that.
or see
He
him
didn't want
making his armor or
he
see
didn't
him
want
doing
him to
that
be
kind of
like
stuff.
Iron Man. That's why.
Huh?
There's a reason why they didn't do that up front is because he didn't want it to be like Iron Man.
I know, but I mean, I just want to see a little bit of or see how Fury goes about making his armor and stuff. That nanotech, like well,
Right, right.
in game they stole the nanotech from Black Panther because that's how she made his second suit. And
Yeah.
then when they're fighting in the street, he pulls the cores on that
Hmm.
whatever the hell he was and tapped the nanites. So I guess
Yeah.
he kind of stole that from.
Well, I mean, to be fair, in terms of Shuri, the way that she works with whatever suit or science she's conducting, all
Mhm.
she does is make sure that he has the best of the best. Like Iron Man's technology is known throughout the entire world because he's talked about it at conventions and shit. So all you got to do, if you're like on Shuri's level, and Shuri is definitely smarter than Tony and Bruce Banner, as we saw, she made them both look like children in one scene. But yeah, like she can just modify that to match her own agenda, or she can find out the weaknesses in Iron Man's design and make it even better. Expand upon a mistake that was made. That's what happens when someone makes something and you analyze it. You can then make it better because while that person is
Backwards
making it,
backwards
yeah,
engineering,
yeah,
Reverse
exactly.
engineering.
reverse engineering.
So you can do that, and Reed Richards has done it. Peter Parker has done it. Like a lot of
Remember the movie
geniuses in
Paycheck
the Marvel universe does it. Yeah.
with Ben Affleck, where he was paid to do that, and then they wiped his mind.
Hmm.
He was paid to reverse. The company was hired him to reverse engineer their competition.
Yep. I mean, man, I definitely want to see more Shuri, and I would love it if you had like Shuri interacting with Reed Richards. Like that would be
Well,
like
you
if you scene of just 5 minutes of dialogue, that would probably be one of the coolest scenes in the MCU movie. Just
you
Yep.
think
Shuri and Reed Richards talking. That's it.
you
Yep.
think they might be using Shuri? They might have made Shuri like that to maybe bypass Riri Williams, and maybe Shuri might end up being the Iron Man or something.
Um, Probably, and it's only going to be not because it's accurate, but in terms of Hollywood, they have an agenda. So they'll probably do it because she's black, not because they're looking at it from this has some merit to it. Like a lot of stuff will be pushed to the forefront, and while it's accurate, it's just the timing and the placement of it. There's going to be a lot of female driven stuff. They're going to try to do a lot of black Hispanic stuff. There's going to be a lot of the race swapping. It's very predictable. You can see it coming. Ain't nobody surprised by this.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
don't want to start the conversation, but I want to answer these questions kind of in a quick manner. And then once we answer questions, then we can stay on the topic we want to talk about. I don't want the people to that damn it taking forever to get to my question. So we're gonna go through the questions, do like a quick answer, and keep going until we get to the end. Then we can go back to whatever topic we're gonna
Terrence,
do.
they want to know
Terrence,
how you feel.
how you feel about Gore the God Butcher?
Oh, I definitely like that character, and I want to see him beat the shit out of Thor, especially since Thor.
Come on, man, come on.
I'm
Yeah,
serious.
it's gonna
Like
happen. I don't know if
Thor,
they'll
Oh,
go as epic as the comic book did, but if they do that, well, that'll be an old hell
oh,
moment. I'm so
Thor,
oh.
definitely.
Thor, Thor is fucking scared of Gore. Okay, like there are a couple of things that Thor is scared of, and like in the context of the MCU, let's see what Thor did the last time we saw him.
Gore is
Okay,
his
so
serpent. The way
let's
Odin was
see.
scared of the serpent.
Like let's see, he gave up the kingdom to Valkyrie, which I like Valkyrie. I'm like, come on, Thor, you're being stupid. What are you doing? Like he's like, yeah, you're the new king. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Whatever, Thor. Thor was sitting on his ass, getting fat, and all this stuff. Like, there's a lot of things that Thor is doing where he's not himself. He's done a lot of decisions that feel awkward and silly. So he's not like beast mode Thor, like how the last time I saw him, like say at the end of Infinity War, he's far removed from that. I feel like if Gore the God Butcher shows up, Thor is gonna get his ass whooped. He won't even know how to process that because we are dealing with silly Thor and not Thor. We need Thor again.
True.
I think we'll get him.
Yeah,
The,
to beat Gore in the books, it took Thor from 3 different timelines.
Mm-hmm. So
It took him as like a man in his young 20s to present to an old man, and they still got served up.
Look at what they're doing. Like, I bet you in Thor: Love and Thunder, which there's a little bit of excitement. I never cared for Jane Foster Thor. I thought she was a cringy, terrible ass character from the comic books. The whole I got cancer, but I had the power of Thor to hold the cancer back. I'm like, get that shit out of here. So female Thor is obviously coming before Beta Ray Bill, which is the dumbest shit I've ever heard of. I'm like, how does that make sense? But whatever, we're in the times that we're in, so of course female Thor is being pushed to the forefront, a character that nobody asked for. So in the context of Thor: Love and Thunder, I'm picturing Thor being there for like a hot minute. They'll take a backseat to female Thor. Maybe Beta Ray Bill will have some kind of cameo, and then maybe Gore the God Butcher will come and just beat the shit out of Thor while he's like growing grapes or shit on the table.
What if they introduce the unseen in this?
Ooh.
There's been no hint to that, so I doubt that would happen. But that's how Thor became unworthy in the story. So I'm wondering how they're going to do that, because he could wield the sword at the end of Endgame. I mean,
where's
the
Chris
hammer.
Masterson? Where's Chris Masterson? He should have been there in Endgame, because when Thor, when he went up against the ones who sit above in shadow, because he thought they were a threat, even though they were protecting Asgard, and he ended up in a gigantic void, and that's how we got Chris Masterson to begin with. Chris Masterson got his ass wrecked by Thanos. So they've had opportunities to bring in different Thors, but they just kind of use the same one and just make him sillier. So,
I'm fat.
D. Scott says Venom and Halloween Kills coming in October is like 2018 all over.
You're right. They could have even had the clone Thor in that, because there was a clone at the Civil War. Tony Stark made a clone of Thor.
Yeah, and he killed Bill Foster. Like, that was a whole scene. Yeah, man,
they cut a lot of stuff out of it. Now I say a Civil War should have really been. That should have been the end game of it, and not even Thanos, to tell you the truth, because Civil War had so much craziness.
Yes, between like 400 plus characters and the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, you had Blade doing stuff.
The Punisher.
Shit.
I mean,
they didn't even want the Punisher around.
I know I said we were going to keep these questions short. Y'all still going on forever.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Damn, boy. Y'all better read my body language. All right. D. Scott said Venom and Halloween Kills coming in October is like 2018 all over again. I'm not familiar with this Halloween Kills. I don't know what the hell that is.
I guess that's another Halloween, another Michael Myers, probably.
I ain't watched the first one.
Yeah, the sequel to the.
I haven't even watched the first one, so I don't even know about that shit. All I know is that the mask is Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk.
It never even blipped on my radar. It was at its height of its popularity.
Man, I'm a huge Michael Myers fan, so I am looking forward to that shit.
Wait, you said the mask is Captain Kirk?
Yeah.
It's William Shatner.
Really?
Yeah, they just stripped it of the features and stuff and painted it white.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
These guys say he had a blast watching Venom. I liked it, but a lot of people thought it was trash. So I guess it's whatever your flavor or your taste is.
Hey, I ain't mad at you, man. Venom, you like it? I'm happy.
It's all right. I mean, like I say, I always go to this standard for sucky comic book movies. If it's better than Catwoman, it gets worse than Catwoman.
Yeah, but Batman and Robin, shit, that's
Oh yeah, I mean
Or
that Catwoman. The
Spider-Man
only thing
3.
worse than that Catwoman is that Doctor Strange from back in the 70s. That was some hot garbage. Even for the time.
all of the
Hey man,
Marvel film, all of the Marvel films
I could
before
watch
Blade.
that. I could watch that Doctor Strange before Green Lantern. Man, Green Lantern to me, man, make me wanna damn
Man,
find the yellow ring and go kill damn Ryan
man,
Reynolds
You
himself.
know,
I hate
Green
that
Lantern,
dude.
Ryan
at
Reynolds
least
wanted to
Green
suit.
Lantern had Sinestro, man.
They
Man, they fucked that up.
Yeah, they
Best
did,
thing,
but like
best thing about that
I'm telling
movie was the end credit scene when Sinestro got the yellow ring.
I
That made me
agree.
want to see.
that
That made
that
me
that
want to see
scene
the
was
movie.
fire. But to me, the best scene in the movie, before the credits, was when Sinestro was training Hal Jordan. That scene was fucking fire. I was like, man, if the movie
what
was the
messed
rest
that
of the
movie
movie
up. A
was
lot
like
of what
this,
messed that movie up is Ryan Reynolds wanted them to make an actual suit, but they didn't want to do that. They, like I say, lean heavy on CG,
the movie still would have
and
been bad because the
and
writing would
they
have been the
just
same.
But you know,
yeah they
man,
should have.
all I had to do was follow the cartoon. That Green Lantern
They gonna do
animation.
it.
That's one of the best cartoon shows I've ever seen. And they showed all the different different
Yeah, the
lanterns.
different lantern cores.
That show was awesome.
Just follow the comics because the problem with cartoons, while they can be good, they cover a lot of stuff very quickly. You
Mm.
can't do that in a 2 hour movie. You have to space it out. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a sloppy kind of thing where they just kind of spewed everything on screen. Hey guys, remember this? Remember that? I'm like, yeah, I do, but where's
Yeah,
the
but
story? There's no
DC
story.
people in the DCU live action universe should go over to the DC animated people and say, "Look, teach us the ways of the Force," because apparently something ain't happening. Because no reason why the cartoon should be that much better, other than Aquaman and Wonder Woman, and
Man of
maybe
Steel,
and
Man of
Man of
Steel,
Steel. Those are the best three.
Yeah, Man of Steel.
and
Mhm.
Shazam. We can't discount
No,
Yeah,
Shazam.
and
People
Shazam.
love
fuck
Shazam.
Shazam, man, fuck Shazam.
Hey, you
No,
can't.
You
I
didn't
get you
like the
didn't like
I
it,
can't.
but
Shazam
you
movie?
gotta
I,
give
I
that
can't.
movie.
Shazam.
No,
I like
no,
Man, I
Shazam.
like that
no,
Shazam movie. I
Danny, you
like that
can't be
movie.
biased. Like
no.
you don't like Shazam, so you're not giving it
No, I
any
love
credit. That's
Shazam.
not fair.
You can
No,
ask Jay Brown. Man,
I'm talking
He
about
is
the movie.
Shazam.
I used to watch the 1970 Shazam
He
with
used to
Billy
watch
Batson
that
got
old
that
TV
truck.
show with
Mm-hmm.
Shazam and ISIS.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
got that
remember that
stuff right
show.
now.
That show was corny. With the movie, that's more Shazam. That's
Okay,
more Shazam. Like I'm.
y'all,
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
y'all touch
I
the
like the
magic stick.
Shazam movie.
Y'all touch the
And
magic
I
stick
was
and say Shazam. I'm gonna give
and
y'all
I
power.
was shocked that they did that. I didn't think that you was
I
gonna get to
was
see.
fucking happy as hell. I didn't think we was
Yes.
gonna get that to the
I'm a
second movie,
I'm a
yo.
juggle lightning bolts. I can juggle lightning bolts.
He's a child.
Man,
He's supposed to act like that. Like
Like
no, he's
that.
not.
Okay,
No,
yes, he is.
but one
when
thing I
I
will
see
say,
Shazam, when I see Shazam, any other form than that, when he turns to the adult version, he acts like he got more sense. The only
and
time I saw him starstruck in animated version, when he first met the Justice League and Superman, because Superman was his hero. That's when he
And
started
and
acting like
and
a kid. But any other
okay, if you want,
time,
and in the movie when he was a kid, he didn't act silly. He only acted silly when he turned to
that's
Shazam.
right.
That was the
Yeah,
but
only
but
problem I had
but
with it.
to be fair, anytime that you mention Shazam in animated stuff, he's been further along. You're talking about a movie where he just barely started. That's not the same thing. Like
True.
Shazam has to grow into his abilities and he becomes more serious over time. He doesn't start like that.
I can
Just
see that.
saying.
No,
Yeah.
I can see that.
okay.
I can see that.
I'm just saying, I ain't going to watch Shazam again. No,
Oh
I'm not.
God.
Danny, when
I'm not.
You
Shazam 2
have
come out and fucking Dwayne
I
Johnson
just
is in there
told
as
you.
Black Adam.
That's what you said. 2 words. Say it again. Start with a D, and the second one start with a J. Say them
Dwayne
again.
Johnson? Yeah,
Okay.
Dwayne
Did you see
Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson in the first one? No, I don't give a
No,
damn about that. But I know The Rock gonna bring a different level of aggression, different level of. Can you smell what you're cooking? Yeah, I can smell what he's cooking, and I Black Adam gonna be there. So yes,
but here's the thing though. Again, Shazam has to go into that. Like you don't put Black Adam in the first movie. He has to deal with like someone like Dr. Savannah where he can get used to his powers and
I ain't
then you
doubting
bring
that.
in somebody like Black Adam. Like that's how you do that.
You know good and well, Shazam is not gonna be able to beat Dwayne Johnson Black Adam. You know that. Now the movie might come out with him on top, but you know good Well,
what they'll
that
probably
Black
do is
Adam is
they'll
gonna
probably work
smoke
together.
Shazam.
Of course he is. Like he's gonna beat him up. They'll probably team up to deal with a bigger threat, and then they'll go back to fighting again. Hell, we might even get Superman coming up in there for all we know, helping Shazam fight Black Adam. That's happened before. We don't know what they're gonna do, but I'm just telling you from a
He was supposed
storytelling
to be
standpoint.
in the first movie.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, true. He
and
technically kind of was in the end, but yeah, like
there
I
is
mean,
talk
they
about
were supposed to show Henry Cavill face, but he was shooting. He had to go back for reshoots on Mission Impossible, and that's why they cut it. But they was going to actually have him walk out and show his face and everything in that movie.
yeah, that was
and
his
there's
that was his stunt double that did that scene.
yeah, and there's supposed to be talk of him in the next one. So
Right,
like,
and the whole fucking
Mm.
Justice Society of America coming in the Black Adam movie. They're from a writing standpoint, they're doing it right. You never put all your eggs in the first basket. That's the dumbest thing you can do because then you have nothing else left to show. You never do that.
And I guess with the Empty Throne,
Shazam ain't
that
on
kind
my
of
top
hint
10.
to. I don't know. I'll go watch it if one come out. I like Shazam, but see, I like Ant Man, and you didn't like Ant Man. I thought the first Ant Man was pretty good.
Oh
I
yeah,
so
Ant
enjoyed
did
it.
Man
I.
one was
Thought it
dope.
was that one was good. I liked it.
You like
Ant
what?
Man and the
Say it
Wasp
again.
was cool.
The
The
first Ant
first
Man,
Ant Man,
The first
I
Ant
Yeah,
liked
Man.
it.
yeah.
yeah.
It was
Ant Man
okay.
was dope. Like the second one I liked, but it's like the second one
Somebody
was
was saying that ghost character was supposed to be different than what
yeah,
he
that's
or
supposed
she
to be a
was. I don't
male.
even think it's supposed to be yeah. I didn't
Well,
think it's supposed
It's
to be a
supposed to be
female.
it's
in the
supposed to be
comic books,
number.
if I remember correctly, it's technological. This is some kind of affliction or something, or some kind of scientific experiment going awry or something. In the
No,
comic books, Ghost was some kind of like industrial thief or something. He would like
yeah, it
steal for
was a
the highest
male.
bidder. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a male. So they did number
This,
one, they did gender swapping again. Number two, they completely changed around what the character does.
The
This character in
motivation.
the movie was not even a villain. The
Mhm.
character just
Mm.
didn't want to die. Anybody can
Die. Yeah,
understand
they
that.
change all the motivation.
yeah.
Just saying. Like
That's why
Did
they
it, did it
changed Thanos'
did it
motivation,
work?
but they
Did it work?
changed that to make sense
Did it
to
work? Did it work
the
in your opinion,
non-readers.
Terrence?
did it say again?
Did that work? The gender swapping and the whole motivation?
I the movie itself I enjoyed, but I would have preferred it if they would have made Ghost the way Ghost should have been made. So I didn't like initially when I heard about it, I was like, "What? You doing what? Oh, here we go again." Then I watched it. I was okay. Yeah, this is fun. This is cool. But that's how I felt. I had a but at the end of it. I still wish they would have did it the way they were
Yeah.
supposed to do it. Because
That
Ant
butt
Man and the Wasp didn't have anything of substance aside from Hank Pym and the wife. You know the whole quantum realm and all that. But
you know that shit was whack. Just like damn Guardians of the Galaxy.
Just
you
like
didn't
which
like
one?
Guardians? Wait.
He don't like Guardians of the Galaxy. No, he don't like.
Oh
Really?
I
no,
want you.
Danny.
I want you to go back and as I rank the Marvel movies.
Yeah, I think he ranked them at like his
Shit.
20 or 19 or something. I ain't
Oh
way
I
my
down
rank.
there.
God.
I rank
So
them
you
at
put Iron Man 3 over oh hell no. Oh
Oh
no
hell
no,
yeah,
no.
hell
definitely
yeah,
not.
Oh
No,
hell
no,
no.
no,
hell yeah.
No.
no,
No.
no. I
No.
Oh,
Man, am Groot. I am Groot. That's the
I will
stupidest
say
damn
and
character.
What?
They make me
I will
sick as
say
hell.
when I seen Guardians, the first dance scene at the beginning, I was like, oh no, don't tell me this is what I'm
Only
gonna
thing
be
about Guardians
watching.
I like with Jason is that the music they have. The music is hot, boy. I like that. That's the old Motown stuff you
Yeah,
listen
yeah, the
to.
music is hot. The music
But
is hot.
other than that,
No, the
man,
movie is
fuck
good
Man,
though.
Star
the
Lord.
man, I
music
like
is
the first
automatic though.
Guardians.
Like everybody gonna say that I like the music, but you like the music before you saw the movie. The music is the music, but
I
those
Hey,
like the movie.
characters, those characters, first of all, like Marvel, like Kevin Feige and them, they were fucking scared about that movie. They didn't have no
man,
faith
Mm-hmm.
in that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You
I'm
got
tell
a
you what,
talking tree and a talking raccoon. They didn't think that
exactly.
movie was gonna work, and then it
Stupid
did,
as
and they're
hell.
like, "Oh, now we can do everything now." They were
It
fucking
didn't work.
scared
You know
shitless.
who saved that movie? The man with the doggone whistling thing.
Oh
Whatever
yeah,
the hell
you
that.
talking about Giannis?
Really?
That's the
Michael,
only
he
thing.
dead now.
You
He
said
Michael.
Giannis
I
saved
can't
the
He's
think
the
of the
only
movie?
thing
character
that
name.
saved.
Oh, what? Oh,
I want
I
to see
put
him.
the first Guardians. It's like in my top 5, to be honest with you.
yeah, dude. Like,
Marvel
yo,
movies.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
those.
yeah,
man,
it's in like my
Guardians.
top
They
5.
they when they introduced Gamora and Nebula, and then we see Thanos and Ronan,
Hey
like I'm
Jason,
like, this shit is
Yeah.
awesome.
hey, y'all ever watch Survivor? Light your torch.
Which one?
You just been put it off the island, Jason.
Yeah.
Man,
Nobody,
Danny,
man.
Danny, are you sure? Are you sure we
I'm
saw the
positive.
same movie? Because this don't
Man,
make no sense.
Yeah, he
Guardians,
don't like the Guardians. He been talking trash about
Guardians
Guardians
suck.
of the Galaxy forever.
The
So when the
second one
Guardians, when they
sucked.
showed up in Infinity War, you were like, oh, here we go. Like you didn't even care.
When
I don't like the
When
second one
Star
because I
Lord
didn't
tried
like
to go
how
up
they did the
against
ego
Iron
thing.
Man,
But
I start, man, that's funny right there.
Yeah, that Ego the Living Planet was a missed opportunity. Like
I didn't like the second one.
yeah, I
I
didn't like
like
how they played that character and stuff.
oh,
Mhm.
I look, I liked Volume 2, but Volume 1 is way better. I think that Ego the Living Planet was a missed opportunity, but the movie was fun and Yondu had that badass scene. It was hard for me to hate it,
yeah,
but when you
that
dealing with a
scene saves that
celestial,
movie.
first of all, Danny, Drax by himself is better than everything in Iron Man 3. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Drax.
But they
So you
ruined
mean to
Drax
tell me?
too.
I ain't saying
They ruined
I'm
him
not
too.
saying Iron Man 3 is a masterpiece because it's stinking up. But when I saw all them different armors, that didn't make you say, "Oh fuck."
Danny,
That was good, but like you
Did
were
not make you
saying
say
earlier
that,
about
Terrence?
some.
Danny.
Wait, what happened with Drax?
No, I'm saying
No, I
when you
was
saw
saying
all them different armors, what'd you say?
I was like, yeah, that's cool, but the movie
Uh,
itself, okay,
Danny.
look, as a movie, the movie is fine. As a comic book movie, it's trash.
Iron Man 3 is on my bottom of the Marvel movies. It's like 19 or whatever. It's like
What movie
right on
was
the
it
bottom.
you was talking about
it's
earlier, Terrence?
it's
That
okay
you
to be
said
wrong,
it had a
Jason.
plain villain. That's how I
Um,
felt about Iron Man 3. Like the villain was so underwhelming in Iron Man 3. That was a waste of Guy Pearce.
Listen, I
Absolutely.
ain't saying that Iron Man 3 is doggone Oscar
Oh no,
worthy.
I ain't
I ain't
talking
never
about that.
said
I'm
that.
just saying about the
I'm
villain.
saying that shit ain't. I rather see any Iron Man movie than any Guardian of the Galaxy. I don't care what
Man.
none of
you
y'all
you
say.
know what's funny
I
about
don't care what
Iron
none of
Man?
y'all say.
You know what's funny about Iron Man? I told some humans this the other day, and they were like, "Damn, you right, T." I was like, Iron Man, he's the one that started the MCU. He has the worst fucking sequels out of everybody. The best
He
sequels in the
does.
MCU is Captain
Oh
America.
No
Captain
Iron
yeah.
Man
America,
4.
The Winter Soldier, and
Mhm.
Civil War. He is the only franchise
Absolutely.
within the MCU where it gets better. With the Avengers, you got the first Avengers is great. Ultron, the shit with
Mm,
Ultron didn't do shit.
Ultron,
They fucked him
Ultron was
up.
all right.
No,
I'm a
no,
James
I
it was
Spader.
all
liked it,
right.
but it's just
I'm a
compared to
James
the
Spader
first one.
fan.
No, I got you. Like the voice was cool, but the character they fucked him up. He didn't do shit the whole movie. That shit was whack. And then they killed Quicksilver by a bullet. That shit was
Mhm.
stupid. The whole nature
But
of the movie
Yeah.
was a complete
but
waste.
the first Captain America sucked. I can't stand that. I don't.
Yo, that shit was fire. Like
The first one.
yes,
Oh
the way
hell
that
no.
they handled Steve Rogers coming up, taking the serum, dealing with Red Skull and Hydra, there is not a better way you can do that. That is the best way you can do that because that shit is
That,
hard to do. Like
Is that
that
the
was a
first
task for
Captain?
them to make Captain America.
that was whack.
Yeah, because they
That
had
was
to make Chris
I didn't
Evans
like
look
it. I
like
didn't
he
like the
was
first one.
in
But
fresh out of a
The Winter
concentration
Soldier is
camp or
fire.
something.
exactly, but that's
Mm,
my point though.
Yeah.
You went from a hard task from making a Captain America origin story, and then you go to the Winter Soldier, and then you go to Civil War. With
Civil War.
Iron Man, you got Iron Man 2, you got Whiplash. That shit was whack. Okay. The only reason why people
Yeah.
might say that it gets some props is because it has Nick Fury and Black Widow. And we all know why with Black Widow. But yeah, I'm
The
like,
only
that
reason,
movie is weak compared to the first one.
well, I'm gonna say on that, in every adventure, there's a learning curve. They were kind of doing a learning curve because Kevin Feige didn't know how, and John Favreau, he was in the adventure than Kevin Feige, but John Favreau really didn't know how that was going to play out. Well, are the people going to dig this or whatever? And it just so happened that people latched onto it. Now, the second movie, I like the part with the origin story of War Machine and
Whiplash.
how they kind of had their little different thing in that fight. That was memorable to me. The fight they
That
had
that
at,
was that
at
was
Tony's
cool.
house. But the third one, I give it to you. It was crap. It was
See,
a sardine
uh,
sandwich.
I'll be fair with that, Danny. Okay, I can see the learning curve, but what I saw more realistically that I would point out to them is that what you did here is an example of how a lot of people fuck up. With the first movie, you put everything out on the line. It was nothing but passion because you needed it to work
Mhm.
for the rest of the MCU to
Mhm.
keep going. With this one, you saw our movie made money. You didn't try as hard because this shit is a lot
I
weaker in
agree.
every single area. And then with
Mhm.
Iron Man 3, it's like, well, people love him. They're going to go see him no matter what. That's true. And then you gave a fucking mediocre film with a villain that you ruined twice, and there was
Well,
no substance in the movie with the exception of Tony dealing with the PTSD. That was the
yeah,
only interesting thing in that whole movie.
I think in Iron Man 3 they were trying to be like sometimes you can outsmart yourself by being so clever. You think it's clever, kind of like Fat Thor. I think that was a bad mistake, and it kind of like
I do
having
too.
having the Mandarin be like a actor. That was really stupid. But I think they were trying to be
Mhm.
like tongue in cheek, real smart. Like, oh, you're gonna flip this character, and it didn't work out. That's what I thought it
I
was.
think they were
That's
scared to
what
mess with magic back then.
They were scared of a lot of stuff. I don't care what Kevin Feige says. This whole we planned everything out. We knew it. No, you didn't. He planned a lot of stuff out. Captain America: Civil War was not planned out. That was a direct fucking response to Batman versus Superman. That was supposed to be a completely different movie. And what's the way that you can compete with the two greatest superheroes of all time? You have to do Civil War. You know why?
Mhm.
Because that was the only story that stopped Marvel from going into debt until it eventually did when people got over Civil War.
But
But yeah,
I will say Iron Man 3, y'all thought it was well, I did until that scene where him and Rudy go in there and find out nothing but a drunk. But the way he was the way they portrayed him the first time, Mandarin was hard. The way they portrayed him in the first scenes we see him, like he blown up this and blown up that,
Oh yeah,
cold ass terrorist.
oh,
when you thought it was
okay,
Everybody,
real.
everybody thought it was. And that Mandarin
okay.
wasn't magic based at all. He was just a mean motherfucker
You're
based
right. You're
on.
right, Danny. You are 100% right. I will give you that. From the trailer, I was like, man, we gonna get the Mandarin. And granted, it didn't show him
Mhm.
fighting, but I was like, man, this dude is killing people. He is
Mhm.
badass. Then I watched the
Yeah,
movie,
Mhm.
and then when it got to that point, then that's when it went downhill and it fucked everything up just completely. And then you had a character in the movie, War Machine, by the way. He specifically looked at the Mandarin, looked at Tony, and he was like, "Is this supposed to be the Mandarin?" So you had a character acknowledge that that shit was silly, which tells me that you did it on purpose and you thought you were being clever. Shit didn't work out.
And that's why they had to retcon it. You know what I mean? Because they realized people didn't
Yeah.
like it, so now they had to say it was a fake Mandarin. You know, like.
Right. That's right. I'm like, yeah, Kevin. Kevin,
yeah.
look, man, I was born, but I wasn't born yesterday, Kevin. You know
Mhm.
damn well you only retcon that shit because people didn't like it. Come on, who you fooling, man?
Absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're gonna get
Yeah,
this next
man.
question brief. I know y'all two of y'all can talk forever. All right. What's your favorite comic story? We're gonna start with Jason first.
Um, I was thinking about that. It's Age of Ultron. Not Age of Ultron. I'm sorry. Age of Apocalypse. That storyline is my favorite storyline in comics right now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
He went.
Okay. Yeah. Age of Apocalypse. When Legion his name killed Professor X. I went
Yeah.
back in time and killed Professor X, and then everything changed. That was one of my favorite storylines in the comics.
Jason, did you see the Legion TV show? That shit was fire with Charles Xavier's
Actually,
son.
I never watched it.
You
It's
should
on
check it
Hulu
out,
if you
man.
have it.
It's good.
Yeah, like the complexities of the Legion character with all his powers and the psychosis and stuff, the way that the show goes about explaining that to the audience is done in a very brilliant way. And it's like one of those shows where not only do you get the weirdness of his powers, but you
Hmm.
have a lot of intelligence and weirdness put into each episode, and you have to distinguish for yourself what really happened and what David imagined. And that the fact that they were able to do all that, man, I am telling you, that is you got to watch that if you like
I
Legion.
I will. I'm locked up now, so I'm looking for things to watch. I'll definitely check it out.
And
Definitely.
just to let you know, you will get Amal Farouk, the Shadow King. Like anybody
Oh
that
yeah.
likes X-Men, they
Hmm.
know about
Uh-oh.
Amal Farouk.
Hmm.
That boy
For
is bad.
sure.
He is a main character in Legion, so get ready for that.
I'm gonna watch it. Definitely.
Where they went, Jimmy, I stepped away to get me a freeze pop. My favorite comic story is Beyonder.
Secret Wars.
Or
My favorite is I got two favorites because like I said, I got a Marvel favorite and I got a DC favorite. My favorite in Marvel is Old Man Logan. My favorite in DC is Kingdom Come.
Nice.
good deal. Next question will be: how y'all feel about Franklin Richards, Reed's Richards' son?
Oh wait. For
That he
me,
too powerful for the
Terrence.
MCU.
Hold on. What you say,
They
Terrence?
won't ever.
Hold on.
Oh,
You say,
no, I was
Terrence?
gonna say, yeah, for me, my favorite, like, I actually don't have a favorite comic book storyline. Like, there's too many that I like. I do like, to me, one of the best reads that I've ever read is the Watchmen storyline. I think that's one of the best comic book stories ever written. The intelligence that's in there, the way that they take a look at the superhero genre. Danny, have
Why
you
is you
read the
hating on
Watchmen
this?
storyline?
He hating on Watchmen now.
Oh,
I
nah,
can't
nah,
stand it.
man. That is considered by many comic book readers to be the best graphic novel ever made, by the way. Just wanted to throw that out.
That's it won like some kind of like writing award that only novels win. Wasn't it Watchmen that won that?
Yes,
If
exactly.
you were
Like,
if you were not a founder of this show, I would eject you right off this show.
Oh my God. How you gonna be a
man,
comic
Danny.
channel and hate on comics so much?
All right, but yeah, Watchmen is one of my favorite. The Dark Knight Returns. I like
Oh yeah,
Age of
that's a good one.
Apocalypse. I like Superman Red Sun. I like the
Oh
Dark
man,
Phoenix
you see Red
storyline.
Sun? You saw Red Sun yet, Javion? I'm sorry, Terrence.
I don't have nothing that streams that. And
Oh
all I
my
got is
God.
Red Sun was so good.
Boy,
It was
that
wicked.
man on Red Sun,
Yeah, that was wicked, man.
suck
That's
it
what
for real.
DC, their animation, it kills their movies like
I'm telling you,
crazy,
man,
man.
that I
Like
like the one that was with the alternate versions of all three of them. Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
Gods
oh
and
yeah,
Monsters.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That one when he pushed that safe door over on all those dudes and just crushed them. Like man,
And
that's
and
the
I,
Superman. That's
and
the
Terrence.
Superman they deserve because
yeah, like, I'll probably say
we need
this is definitely in
Hold
my
on, Terrence.
top 10 because I've never read anything crazier than Crisis on Infinite Earths. Haven't read anything anywhere near as crazy as
Oh yeah,
the
Crisis.
destruction of the entire DC multiverse with
Let me tell you,
countless trillions of lives
I,
destroyed.
to see that on, I thought CW did a good job. I know it's not just a comic book. I'm not gonna sit here and say it is, but those 5 nights, I was like glued to. I was like, damn, this
Yeah,
shit
they
is
did
Yeah,
they did a good
okay.
job.
dope.
They
They
did a
they
good
did a
job.
good job. That's a very very difficult storyline. Like
Hmm
when you're in a room with people and you talking about adaptions, if somebody goes, "Sir, I think we should adapt Crisis on Infinite Earths," I would be intrigued, and they would have to explain it because it'd be like, okay, where do you want to start? Where do you want to end? This is a lot to digest. If we're gonna do a movie,
Oh yeah.
we got to do a trilogy. If it's gonna be like a show, we got to build up to it. Like the Arrowverse is building up Crisis on Infinite Earths for more than 8.5 years
hmm
They
throughout
give it. They
multiple
gave it.
stories and arcs.
They gave it 5 hours. So I'm not mad at them at all.
They
That's what somebody need to sit down and do the Phoenix Saga like that, from Phoenix Saga to Dark
For real.
Phoenix Saga.
For
I
real.
agree, but Danny,
For
to be fair though, even though the event of Crisis is 5 hours, you talking about Black Lightning had a Crisis centric episode. That's that. So that's like 6 hours. And then when you factor in all the references, all the cameos from the Monitor preparing a different hero for Crisis, you are literally talking
Lucifer.
about just Crisis is over 13 hours of material, just Crisis related only.
hmm
They did a
So
good job.
they did that.
I ain't,
Yeah.
I ain't mad at all. Johnny Xbox wrote, "How you feel about Franklin Richards' son?"
And I said he too powerful for the MCU. If you ever see him on screen, he'll be a watered down hot mess
They would
like
have
Scarlet
to.
Witch.
Yeah, they would have to.
Um, shit. Well, I think they can do it, but it would have to be something where you would have to showcase his full power. It can't be something where he shows up, he's like, "Hey, everybody, hey, how you doing?" and then he just leaves and does like one thing. He can't be that pop up character. He has to be there for a length of time to deliver some kind of impact. He's an impactful character. So that's how
I
you
think
would
what
have.
they would probably do it like show him do something in one movie if they did it, and then there was a time where they thought he lost his power, and they would probably run with something like that for a movie or so, just because they always take that player off the board. I mean, every X-Men movie they take Xavier off the board before every fight starts. They ain't gonna let the true powerhouse stay out there.
Well, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. But to be fair though, with Scarlet Witch, like even though she's powerful in the comics, she's not that powerful. The most powerful that I've seen her is in the House of M storyline, which you
Is
took
when
away the
she's
mutant power. But outside of that, though, she's not as powerful as people make her seem to be. So I would say that somebody like Thor and Hulk is more nerfed than Scarlet Witch, if I'm going to be honest.
Thor. The Hulk definitely Hulk is nerfed and everything too. Like with the stuff that was like the thing with Thanos, that fight would have took so long at the beginning of that movie.
No,
Thanos has
some
never
people
took.
I definitely do not agree. The fact that my boy was able to but fight Galactus and Odin and not die. The fact that this dude can take on hundreds of heroes and not break a sweat. Hulk is laughable. That's what he is. Just Hulk versus Thanos, no distraction, 1-on-1, fully concentrated, fully experienced Thanos. Nah, Hulk is not enough. You're gonna need a couple more people to help. By a couple,
It's kind of like a slugger versus a boxer.
Yeah.
That's what I saw it. The Hulk was just
like
the first few minutes, he kind of overwhelmed them on Thanos a little bit. When Thanos said, hold up, man, I'm Thanos. When he said
not
that,
what I saw.
I saw the Hulk land about 5 good haymakers. Then kind of shut the shit off and said, "Oh, I'm Thanos." And
has Hulk ever fought Thanos in the comic?
You put a 2-piece on the Hulk.
Yes, he has. The Infinity Gauntlet storyline is a very big moment for that, and Hulk was slaughtered. He was treated like a child, like all the other characters.
But he had Thanos had the gauntlet already, though.
This is true,
right? Yeah,
but to be fair though, in that moment he did decrease the power of the gauntlet to impress Mistress Death. So he technically wasn't really using it all the time, to be fair. Because he specifically wanted to impress Mistress Death because he loved her and she didn't even want to be with him. He's like, what if I decrease this power and fight all these people so I can show you how strong and how powerful I am? She didn't even answer him, but he did it anyway because he was being an idiot in that storyline.
But you do remember the Onslaught storyline, right? Wasn't it
Wasn't
it Hulk that broke his armor?
Yeah. Hulk can definitely fight Thanos, but Thanos is gonna win.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So in the context of the MCU, there is no way. Like when Hulk started punching Thanos, I didn't see that as Thanos being overwhelmed. I saw that as Thanos assessing his opponent because he was never hurt in the exchange. Because he hit him, he went up against the wall, and Thanos was just like, really? Bam, 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 bam. There was no huffing and puffing. There was nothing. It was just like, this dude is nothing. I am Thanos, and he just laid him out. And that was the whole point of that scene. It's like, what would you do if you saw Hulk not only get slaughtered, but he was unable to even hurt Thanos? What would you do? You'd be like, oh, shit.
I get the point of the scene, you know what I mean? I just personally thought the fight would be longer. You know,
it would have been longer if he would have been World Breaker.
It also depends on the version of the Hulk too.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, if it would have been World Breaker Hulk, give it like
it would
have been like
Hulk or Immortal. If it was Immortal Hulk, then I mean that's pretty much a stalemate because Thanos can't die and Immortal Hulk can't die. They just
in that context. Forever. Yeah, I would say they probably do like anywhere from like a 5-10 minute fight scene. But Thanos is going to win because of the stones and stuff. That's going to give him an edge. That's how you would write that.
But regular Hulk can't die either.
Yeah, right? Well, regular Hulk can die. Like, you can. The regular Hulk is just nothing but muscle. If you incinerate him, he's dead.
Yeah, but there was a comic where Hulk got incinerated and his whole skin burned off and he was bones and he regenerated.
Come back from some stuff. He come back from Black Bolt blowing all the.
That's true. But the norm
flesh
is that,
off of his hair.
the Hulk can be exhausted. That's the norm. When the Hulk is exhausted, he reverts back to Bruce Banner. If Bruce Banner is not inside of him, he can be incinerated. Muscle has its limit in terms of how strong and how big he can get, and it comes in phases. If he approaches someone that is infinitely stronger and more powerful than he is, he can be killed. That's why these storylines are written a certain way to accommodate the Hulk specifically with a specific form. So what you have with these extreme storylines is not what you would get the majority of the time. You have to look at the base level for the Hulk, just like any other character. Like how I was just mentioning with Scarlet Witch. The House of M Scarlet Witch is not Scarlet Witch most of the time.
I understand that. Makes sense. Definitely makes sense.
I keep dropping off. I don't know what's going on. You all right, bro?
My phone getting low, dropping.
Plug it up.
Plug it in.
I do got it plugged up.
Yeah, sometimes when it get too low, it just keep doing stuff. You're like, aren't you
see it
plugged
getting
in?
hot.
Well, the craziness you and Terrence talking.
Little craziness.
I don't know. I mean, we all seem to think Iron Man 3 is crap. You're the only one that's different, Danny. You know what I mean?
Oh, I just thought
I didn't say it was crap.
I thought
I'm
the
just
villain
saying
was
that it was
crap. Now,
better
I like the
than
part when
Guardians of the
all the
Galaxy.
armors came out. That was when all the armors was out. I thought that was
That was cool.
That was
yeah.
the saving
was
grace
best
of it.
part.
But that villain was weak. I didn't even know who that villain was. I'd never heard of that villain.
And then
Like, yeah.
Pepper
I don't
had to
know his
get the
name
power and save him, and yeah, blah.
Hold on a minute. Go ahead, talk.
He was like, I
Well,
am
I
the
mean,
real Mandarin. I was like, I'm walking out this.
Now you know Iron Man. You do know all the Iron Man movies follow the Blade formula. Iron Man tough for the first part of the movie, then somebody take his arc reactor, and then he got to crawl and look all sad faced and stressed out, and then he gets it back and he wins. That's the same way with Blade. He gets beat and drained, and then he gets into a pool of blood, or somebody let him drink their blood.
That
And then he untouchable again.
Blade 2 was fire. When he went into that pool of blood, I was
I mean, I like it. I'm just saying that's his formula. He untouchable
Right.
for the first hour. Then in like 10, 15 minutes, they just got a plan that they couldn't get him for 15 years, but all of a sudden this night the plan worked.
Right. Man, that fight between Blade and Gerald Nomak was fire. That shit was fire.
Even
and that's where they mess up with 3 because I mean Nomak was a hard act to follow, and they should have made Dracula a whole lot harder. Than what he was.
They dropped the ball on that.
Even in part 2, the fight where they're fighting in front of the lights.
They should have went and got somebody that was a. I like Dominique Purcell, but they should have went and got somebody that was a. They should have got like Ray Stevens, not Ray Stevens. What's the Darth Maul?
Oh,
they should have got him.
It's not even about
Ray
the
Parker.
actor. It's about the writing, because the writing was bad. Even if they would have got Ray Park, it still would have ended the same way. You still would have got a bad movie. Just saying.
Yeah, that movie was really bad. Like they had to put in the hunters there with him, and I just did not like
that. I didn't even mind, but I thought that Dracula should have been. It should have been a something different than how he had to kill than that.
Yeah, the movie is a collection of moments, but as together as a whole movie, it doesn't work.
No,
Dracula was supposed to be the end all be all from what they were saying, but he stood up to Dracula better than he did Nomak. Nomak put it on him.
Right. Yeah, Danny, you got a question there?
Spider-Man is going to be in Venom 2.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, did we lose
Danny? Yeah, I mean, I thought he should have been in the first one.
I'm cool with that if they put Spider-Man in it. You know, they're gonna be trying to merge the universes anyway in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Because obviously with Michael Keaton being in it, so they're probably gonna try and do something. But I'm okay with that.
I think Sony. What's gonna happen is Sony's gonna continue to do their own stuff, but what they're gonna do is allow certain villains and things to maybe cross over to the MCU, but they still have control of everything Spider-Man. I think that's how they're going to do, because then they can get a bunch of money. We're going to work with the MCU, and we're going to do our own stuff.
Because
And they're gonna be
Marvel,
able to like drop names now in their movies and stuff too, right?
they should
Yeah.
be.
Like they'll be able to mention stuff from the MCU
They
and
should
Well,
be
they
reference
because
they
stuff.
they yeah, like Kevin Feige would have to give them permission to use MCU stuff, just like Kevin Feige would need their permission to use anything Spider-Man. So it would have to work both ways.
yeah,
That's
for sure. And with the multiverse, the Doctor Strange 2 coming with the multiverse, that's a perfect way to put in how Spider-Man can get from Marvel to Sony. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Danny, what you think?
he mostly want to get another ice pop.
Danny said these guys hating on my
You gotta
Iron Man
leave them
3.
ice pops alone.
I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, he was like, these guys talking about Iron Man 3 is bad, Guardians is good. He's like,
Yeah, he's like, this ain't my stream. I gotta get out of here.
He don't like them Guardian movies.
Man, it's just I've definitely talked to certain individuals that don't like the Guardians, but it's just with Danny, I'm not
I
understanding
like him,
fully. It
but
just seemed like he just like, nah, forget him. Like
oh no,
you
he
don't
ain't
even
even
want to.
wanting to watch it. He ain't trying to hear nothing about it. Nothing good.
Man,
I
when
don't.
James Gunn got fired and then he got hired back, I was doing backflips over my house. I bet you
Yeah, of course,
Danny didn't even care.
of course, because you want him to finish out the
Who is
series,
James?
right? We want
Didn't
him to
James
get.
Gunn do what is it, the movie he liked so with the evil Superman?
He was a producer of
The
Brightburn.
producer on it. I know he had something to do with
Now
Brightburn.
now
That's what it's called.
now to be honest, like it's not like I guess in the way you describe it, it's like evil Superman, but it's not technically
It's
evil
somebody.
Superman because then they would
It's
get
basically
sued.
his
They would get
take
sued by
Yeah,
on
yeah,
DC.
for sure.
what he
So
feel like an alien with Superman powers would do if
right,
he was
we all
bullied.
know what that shit is though. It's clearly a Superman ripoff,
Oh,
but
it's,
for them to
Hands
not
down.
get sued though, they had to walk the line very carefully. Because they would have got sued in a hot minute if it would have been any fucking
that's
name
why he
reference.
went with. That's why he went with making a mask more the symbol than making a symbol.
Just cape or something, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, because
That
when he was
mask
doing
is.
them drawings, it sounds like those are Kryptonian symbols. What you
You
saying?
better
Like,
leave them symbols alone.
yeah,
Just make a mask, make something else the
right.
focal
You
point of it.
throw a mask over his face. You like, see, he don't wear this.
Superman don't wear a red mask. Now some
Also,
Superman writer gonna write a Superman story with him looking. They'll put something out. One of these
Yeah,
writers
they will.
will put something where to be a thing, what you call it, like a panel where you see a bunch of Superman and some
Exactly.
Superman, and back in the back somewhere will be one that look just like Brightburn.
yeah.
Exactly. And then if they try to say anything, the Warner Brothers are gonna be like, y'all motherfuckers stole this from us. So if we want to put a mask on our boy, you gonna shut the hell up. Say something else. That's how they gonna do it.
There might be one come out of this Dark Knight Metals crap. You don't ever know because I think that still got stuff spilling out.
Right.
The
Danny,
negative.
how do you feel about Spider-Man appearing in Venom 2?
Spider-Man is going to be in Venom 2. How y'all feel about that? Sure, I think it's awesome. If they do it right, I think the only way it's going to they can tie that together to make sense is they do a Man of Web somewhere. She's going to have to be able to come to Peter, and I wish we would do it when he's older. I don't think a young Peter Parker can lead anybody because he don't have enough experience. So it only
Um.
makes sense if he get a little bit of age on him. Because
Okay.
I remember the storyline. Go ahead.
No, I was saying okay. I agree with you.
I want to see an
Well, I
older
mean,
Peter Parker, anyways. You know.
Endgame made a big mistake, that a glaring mistake in it that I don't know why nobody didn't really call him on it. Maybe they did and I didn't see it. But how do you explain Ant-Man daughter being grown up, but Peter Parker friend still being in high school?
They
Because
did
they
that
were,
with the whole blip situation. That's how
yeah,
they explained everything. I'm like,
How
yeah.
they
They explained it. If you were in the snap, you didn't age. If you were not in the snap, then you aged 5 years. So she wasn't in the snap.
I know she
She's
wasn't in
still
the snap,
living.
but all of Peter friends was in the snap
That's
All of
correct.
because they
a
were
lot of
all in
them were.
school.
They were.
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
All of them.
Because they showed it in Far From Home and all that, like when they
Yeah.
did opening and how all the kids vanished and then a lot of them
Uh-huh.
popped back up. I'm like, so That could have been a lot of Peter's friends getting
Yep.
snapped up.
Okay.
And
I was telling
they all popped back up where they vanished,
where they
right?
were.
So what
Yeah,
happened with people
Yes.
that
same
what happened
spot.
with people that were on planes?
Oh man, like you know what happened there? It's called that
In
Disney
the bottom
writing.
of the ocean.
It's called
You
that
know what I
Disney
mean?
writing. They ain't gonna be having no
I got
planes
brought back
crashing
in the
into
Mariana Trench.
And listen, y'all not gonna talk bad about England.
Endgame
Talk,
was good.
talk
No,
bad
no,
about
it was
Good.
good.
Endgame.
I
You
liked
don't.
Endgame, but I think from a storytelling standpoint, that Infinity War is better. I think
Oh,
that
me too, hands down.
Endgame just has a couple of moments in it, like the Mjolnir
Hold on.
Hmm.
and Hulk going up against Ancient. When it has moments in it that
Hmm.
people like, but the movie is very disjointed in a way to
Terrence
where
got two strikes.
Like me,
This man
Two
over here.
when
strikes.
when I watch
This man
Endgame,
over here
I watch
striking.
it from the battle. Like I watch Endgame from the battle. That's when I started.
What?
But Infinity Wars, I can watch from beginning to end all the time.
Oh, that
Exactly.
man said he just watched the end of it.
Yeah, I just watched it.
Exactly.
What's
You
he
watch
doing?
the
He's
end
just
of
sitting there.
Endgame. That's how you do it. Because, like, let's be honest. You got the
He said
three
he don't
hours.
start to Fat Thor sitting there watching the man out there sitting in the middle
Exactly.
of the
You
battle.
got
Hmm.
you got 3
That's when the
hours.
movie starts.
Clearly, the last hour is the best of the three of
Absolutely,
Endgame. Nobody's
absolutely.
gonna argue that.
Hmm. It's just the rest of it is just drag, like going here and going there, and I'm like, yeah, okay, it was good,
A
but
lot.
I can't sit and watch that over again. I can't. At least in Infinity Wars, from start to finish, it was just pure action,
But I
pure.
mean, you got to think it's telling two different kind of stories too, though. I mean, Infinity War was them
Mhm.
getting into it, and that was them trying to recover from it. So you're gonna have a lot of that you had to have. That was just the
Yeah,
process of
no,
getting everybody back. But
And
it's
let's
a
yeah, I
fun
let's
get
be
it.
process to
honest.
watch. I agree.
That time traveling stuff was absolutely ridiculous. I wanted to smack the shit out of Professor Hope that whole movie. I'm like, Hope, what you mean, man? And notice how when they were talking about like time travel, they didn't mention the Flash. I caught that. That's like the best
Mhm.
example of anything time traveling. And it's funny how DC they always mention Marvel,
But
but in that
they
moment they ain't
stole
gonna do it. Yeah,
DC formula for time thing really because Marvel time didn't work like that. Time
yeah,
travel stuff didn't work
yeah,
like that.
yeah, they definitely
But
stole. They
DC's
definitely
did. Whenever
stole.
you change one event, instead of it changing the future, it would just make another line
I'm like,
of another multiverse, basically, or another
Cor-
universe. What happened
correct.
because of that decision?
That's
And
right.
Marvel
That's
didn't
what
handle
happened.
their stuff like that in the comic books, but in the movie they handle it the way DC does.
Right. I'm like,
so
yeah, because yeah.
so with Marvel's logic on that, right?
Say,
That
wait.
means they're. Huh?
I'm sorry, Jason. Say it
Yeah, go
again,
ahead.
Davion.
The way that Marvel does they time travel stuff, you know what? With Age of Ultron, I'm not Age of Ultron, but Age of Apocalypse, so they can always come back in time and kill somebody and
Mhm.
set stuff right. Then the movie they couldn't do it like that. In the movie they did it the way DC handles their time travel and it's like when the Flash go back, when he made the Flashpoint paradox, that created a whole nother line of time where that stuff was
Yep.
carrying on
Yep.
You're
side of
absolutely
it
absolutely
being
right.
like it was.
All
And
right.
Marvel don't usually do that
They
because the
might
way Marvel
no, they do that because it's right here. Y'all see the
Yeah,
book.
what is that?
but that's not the norm though. A
I'm
lot of
saying
that stuff they
this is the source material because what he says in this, because he goes back in time, nighttime, and he says in the present, just what Professor Hunt said. If I do this, then it's gonna mess this up, and it's gonna be my. So they had. I don't know if Kevin Feige or John Favreau read this or not, but is that the same way
but
they
that
explain it in the movie? It's the source
yeah,
material.
but that also doesn't make sense. And also when they were pulling from that Infinity Gauntlet storyline, there was no time traveling with the exception of the very end because a character who they haven't used yet, Adam Warlock, went into the future to check on Thanos, and that's when you see him on the farm, and then he time traveled back to the present to only be met by all of the Celestials, and they put him on trial, and that's how that storyline ended. In the sake of the movie, they just did a lot of weird shit that didn't make sense, and they definitely did pull from DC stuff. Like, let's be real about this.
Because like I
the
was
way,
saying,
like I
so
say,
Let Jason
in
talk.
in
Let Jason talk.
Endgame.
Davion, go
All
ahead.
right, go
Hold on
ahead,
a minute,
JJ.
Davion.
no, I was just saying. So with Marvel's logic, there's an actual timeline with no Thanos, right? Because Thanos left the timeline to come to the future. So if their logic creates a new timeline every time something changes, then that timeline has no Thanos in it, right?
Yeah,
If,
exactly.
you know what I mean? Like there's a
So how did he time
Yeah,
travel? Did he have the capability to do it?
Because
well,
the
Nebula
Thanos.
switched out with the
he
other
found
Nebula and
out.
got the bracelet.
He found
That's
out.
how.
But see, what about when Loki escaped with the Tesseract? There's a lot of shit that shouldn't have
Yeah,
been happening.
I understand that part, but I'm saying, how did he get to this now without having some kind of time travel?
He got
because
one of they.
because that
He got Nebulas.
The,
yeah,
or he got the Pym particle.
he had Nebula. He had
Yeah, that
Ebony Maw help him with the whole
The Pym
figuring out at
particle.
what point in place with the time and the Pym particles. That's how he was able to do that. That's why they had that scene to let the audience know this is how Thanos is gonna time travel to that point.
I got you.
Yeah, because he captured Nebula. Remember when her and Rhodey was supposed to go
She had the
back
Pym
and she
particle, so he
fell
was
out?
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
used hers.
And
But what I
if
was
that was
saying,
not no, I was just saying
why I was
if I'm
saying,
oh go
go
ahead,
ahead.
sorry. No, I was just saying if I'm not mistaken, that was the original timeline for X-Men or what for Marvel Universe, right? That where Thanos came
Yeah.
from. So that timeline has no Thanos. When the future comes, that timeline happens, they have no Thanos in that future. So Thanos never happened in that timeline. He never did a snap. He never got the gems. He never did anything. And
Right.
you know what I mean? And in the comics, when you, like you said, with the Age of Ultron, Bishop had to go back in time to stop Legion from killing Professor X. And then when he did that, everything went back to normal. They didn't create a new timeline.
And
Yeah,
Matthew
they just
Malloy.
complicated it. They that's what I said. All they did was just complicate some shit. It was enjoyable, and I love Endgame to death. But that time
Mm-hmm.
traveling shit made no fucking sense. I'm like, first of all, Captain America, while everybody was cheering for his ass at the end of the movie, he basically killed everybody in the Marvel universe with what he did. This motherfucker went and lived a whole life with a female named Peggy Carter, and which means that he would never become Captain America, which means
Mm-hmm.
there's no shield that's formed, which means the
Mm-hmm.
shield does not stop Hydra. Hydra takes over the world. So many people are killed and are never born. There's no Avengers. There's no Nick Fury. No one stops the T'Chari. Earth is done. But nobody noticed that for some reason. They were just happy because Captain America got some ass.
You know why? Nobody knows that, Terrence. I didn't tell you this. I didn't tell you this 4 or 5 times. So I know that you are. I bow down to your knowledge. But when it comes to real life stuff right here, I think I know. Real life in this is that we go to these movies to enjoy stuff, to escape stuff. I sit down and try to figure out the damn what's the meaning
They
of
got to be
life.
right.
You try to figure out the meaning
They
of
got to
life
use
in a
their
movie.
time travel.
I don't care about that, man. I care about
Yeah.
enjoyment from start to finish. I enjoy the movie. I ain't gonna sit down and figure out how the fuck he do this and try to get it. No, ain't no
Danny,
damn
Danny, you know you
ain't
my
no
boy. Like,
ain't no
Danny, you know you my
mathematical
boy. I got you.
man. Man, you be trying
Danny,
to
you.
you trying to put calculus and trigonometry.
I'm just.
Man, I'm basic. This is basic math, man. Basic math. I
Okay,
ain't
Danny.
trying to
We
hear
got
no
to. We
formulas.
got to.
Okay, Danny,
You got to show
you
that
my
they got to
boy,
show
but
their
you
work,
sound
man.
like
I got
that
to see
one
their work.
guy. You sound like that one because I remember after the movie, I was talking to my friends, and like a couple of the roles of the humans in front of us, they were listening to what I was saying about the timeline, the comics, and what Cap did. And a lot of them was like, "Damn, I didn't think of that." But there was one guy like you, Danny. Like, I came here to enjoy this shit. I don't give a
That's right.
damn. Like,
Yeah. When I go to
Man,
the
so you
movie,
will not
all
take
of
his
these
happiness. You will not steal his
damn
sunshine.
dictionary, no damn book, damn this shit. Check. No, oh, okay, man. Yeah, that was all right.
I ain't
Shit.
got to check
oh,
no list, and it's in my head. They
oh
got to get
man.
on. They got to
But
get it
you and
right. They
Terrence,
got the money to do it.
y'all can go ahead and tackle some numbers. I'm staying on basic math, man. Hold on, man.
I'm just saying.
Danny,
They
man,
just went back in time and killed Matthew
I
Malloy. That
love
same
you.
thing.
I
That's what
love
I'm
the movie,
saying, Terrence.
Danny.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
I say they went back and killed Matthew Malloy, and that stopped him from being born and stopped him from being a mutant so powerful that they couldn't do nothing with. So why they couldn't do it for Thanos?
See, there you
Exactly.
go. There's a lot of what the hell. And why didn't they? Like, there's a whole lot of that. But like Danny
Well,
said, he just
that's
wanted to
what
enjoy it.
You do
And
go.
guess what? I enjoyed it too. But once the movie was over, I was like, these motherfuckers done killed everybody.
War
Yeah,
Machine.
they
That we said. Let's go back and
yeah.
then that's when the Hulk broke into that trigonometry shit.
Yeah, the Hulk. That's when he switched it up on us because I mean that's how I've been working at Marvel Comics. Like I say, that's how Xavier them killed another mutant like that because he was just too powerful. So they went back and made it where his parents never met and he was never conceived.
And look at Hulk. Didn't Hulk say in the movie, "Yeah, I'm not really too good at this, but I think that it works." Like, I'm like, Hulk, what are you doing, man? You don't know what you're doing.
That was another thing where I thought. I think by the time that I guess maybe they had shot, but I thought they had acquired Fantastic Four. They could have had Reed Richards or somebody do the time travel other than Hulk. I mean, Banner is gamma radiation. He ain't for that kind of stuff.
That's right. Reed Richards would have made the movie make sense because as soon as Professor Hulk would have started talking that bullshit, he'd been, look, you green monster, shut up.
Yeah, because I mean, Banner's smart, but he is. That's what they go to for gamma radiation.
He said in the movie, "This is not my area of expertise." He's an expert.
Oh yeah, he said
gamma ray.
But he still did a good job, though.
That is why I threw the popcorn at the screen. I'm like, "What your big green ass doing then? Let somebody."
But
Corey Richards
said, "No, man, I ain't trying to figure that. I ain't trying to mess with that. I like what I got. I ain't trying to lose it." So then,
Danny, I like what we got too, but I'm just saying, man. Sometimes in life, these Avengers be fucking up. That's all I'm saying.
But yeah, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. Like
it was good.
Number one movie
enjoy them all.
in the world.
I don't think there is a Marvel movie that I did
money-wise
enjoy.
It's number one in the world, but when they re-release Avatar 1, then that's when it's going to take the crown back.
The only reason I beg to differ on that, the only reason Avatar 1 made that much money because it was in there longer. Because now movies usually stay in there between 60 and 90 days now. So, and now they're going even faster. So I just saw today that what's his face is on demand. Birds of Prey. That's on demand right now. It hasn't been here 60 days yet. And second of all, back then doing Avatar, it was a such thing called 3D. If you go to a 3D movie, that's about $3 to $4 more. So you're gonna make more money because everybody wants to see a 3D. Endgame didn't have that privilege. There's no 3D.
Also, the tickets were cheaper back then in general. They were nowhere near as expensive as today.
That's true.
And secondly, people asked for Avatar to be put back in the theater. Nobody asked for Endgame to be put back because it was already there and it was fresh. They just did that to try to get a little bit more money. Like, hey,
they get over Avatar.
Exactly. So
they did that because James Cameron started talking trash. So they was
exactly. They was like, oh hell no, we gotta pass this with him.
It was to beat Star Wars.
So you think Avatar is better than Endgame?
No. Let me say this now.
Oh, no.
I enjoyed Endgame more than Avatar, but what I am telling you is that when Avatar 2 gets ready to come out, they're going to re-release Avatar 1, and because Endgame only passed Avatar by a small amount of money, Avatar will take the spot back because it's not a huge gap. It's only Endgame barely beat Avatar. And the only reason that Endgame beat Avatar is because it's built off an entire franchise full of superheroes. Avatar is an original concept. It doesn't have an entire franchise.
1 point, half a point, 100 points. As long as it's more than my opponent, I whip their ass. I don't care about it.
Fair enough. I know where you got that from, Danny. Okay, Vin Diesel. He was like, yeah, it don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. I'm like, I get you, Dominic Toretto. But sometimes in life, I gotta just say, you barely won. Like,
now let's talk about this. Let's talk about how Dominic Toretto has become less and less human as the franchise go on.
Oh my God!
Man, Dominic Toretto will beat the Avengers by himself. That's how happy
I'm telling you.
There ain't enough time.
How you stop a whole motor? How you stop a whole motor from dropping one hand without even no jerking or nothing? Just stop it.
Exactly. How do you catch a car just by standing there? And how do you fall?
Oh, okay, but Rock stopped a helicopter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Calvin Hobbs, he stopped a helicopter. Like
he did. You're right. He did. He literally pulled a helicopter.
They got to get him to that position to get him jacked up to be fighting Dom because they don't make Dom inhuman.
But here's the thing, though. Dwayne Johnson's character and Dominic Toretto, like Hobbs and Dominic Toretto, are cool now. So they got to work together to beat John Cena. Because if John Cena is Dominic Toretto's brother and he's a threat and he's working with fucking Cypher from Fast 8, then there's a problem. So Dominic Toretto's brother got to be even worse.
Is The
So
Rock going to be in this next one?
No, he's not.
No, he's
I would
not.
say
But he'll
No, he's
probably be in. He'll probably be in
in the
10,
next
though.
one. Yeah, he will be in
Because
10.
think about this. Look, Fast 9, you got Dominic Toretto's brother and the villain from the previous movie. It's either going to be John Cena's character gets killed. I know Cypher's going to die. She ain't going to be in no fucking 3 movies. She's going to die. In terms of John Cena's character, it's either going to be that he gets killed or
he going
he
to
ends
start
up
riding with
joining.
Dom.
Join the family.
Exactly. So if you got John Cena and you got Jason Statham, his brother, his sister, and his mom,
And The Rock.
and The Rock, that means the villain has to be hacked as fuck in the number 10. Like, it's got to be the whole Expendables team.
The villain, she gonna live, and Cena gonna join because wrestling is drying up. Cena is on the back end of his career, so most of those wrestling fans transition into acting. I don't think Cena gonna get killed. I think Cena's gonna be.
Either.
I think he's gonna join up with them.
I think Cena gonna be what replacing The Rock. I think they working Cena to replace The Rock because The Rock and Vin Diesel don't get along, and I think that's what.
No. That's old though. They already fixed that.
But Cena and The Rock.
No.
No, they do.
And Dwayne, they had a feud, but they fixed that though. But it was too late in the context of Fast 9, so they would have to bring him in the next one.
But the last thing I read was that Vin Diesel is a part of the Marvel family, and Kevin Feige does not want any kind of dissension or anything because The Rock wants to be in Marvel really bad. With the last article I read, now he might say the hell with it if this Black Adam takes off, which I think it will. That might feed his need, but everybody. It's kind of like how the 1966 Batman, how every big name star wants to be on that show. Every big name star wants to hook their trailer up to Marvel.
The Rock should be in MCU. The Rock should be Beta Ray Bill.
That was a rumor, though. The whole Rock with Marvel, that was a rumor because, like,
I don't think it was.
It was because, like, Dwayne Johnson came out on his Instagram or whatever and said he's 100% on Black Adam. In fact, he solidified that by saying over 10 years ago, he came out at Comic-Con and said that he was going to do Black Adam. And that is the most passion. Like, he has a lot of passion for that project. The reason why it took so long is because, number one, he felt that at the time he was not ready to play the character. Number two, Warner Brothers weren't sure about their plans on the movie. Like, there's a lot of shit going on as to why we didn't get Black Adam 3 by now instead of the first Black Adam. But Dwayne Johnson has been studying the character for all this time. Like, he is on board with that. He's not going to Marvel. Like, unless Warner Brothers just comes out tomorrow and says, Black Adam is canceled, we never plan to use the character for the next 15 years, that is the only way that Dwayne Johnson is going to go over to Marvel.
I know he put up a tweet talking about he wanted to have a meeting with Kevin Feige or something like that one time. But
I seen that too. I remember.
I think, like, let's say that did happen, because as far as I'm concerned, that's a rumor. Let's roll with the fact that did happen. It happened. I tell you what, I think it might have been that Kevin Feige wanted him to do something, but it was conflicting with his Black Adam schedule, because Kevin Feige probably wanted him to be a character that would be around for multiple movies that would conflict with his Black Adam schedule, especially since he's supposed to do a solo movie. He's supposed to be in Shazam 2 and like 3 other movies. There's no way he can balance all that out while being some kind of a mainstay in the MCU. So he probably just told him, thank you, but I already got Black Adam. That's how I picture that going. Because Dwayne Johnson said years ago that he would love to be in a Marvel film, but they weren't pitching him anything. They didn't say shit to him. So he latched on to Black Adam because Warner Brothers snatched his ass up quick. While Marvel was bullshitting, Warner Brothers got on him. So
makes sense.
Shit,
Plus, I don't think he'd be able to do Marvel and DC at the same time, though.
Hell no,
But
not
no,
not
yeah,
not
I
being no
don't think
main
so.
characters. Nope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
not
the
no
way
main
Kevin
character like
Feige likes
that.
to run
'Cause,
it. Hmm.
I say if he came to Marvel, even if he do Black Adam, if he came to Marvel, he'd probably have to be somebody like Beta Ray Bill, where they put him in cosmetics to the point that you can't hardly tell
Mhm.
who it is.
Right, and it probably would have. I feel like if we see him, he'll be in small parts because like most of his time would be with him being Black Adam. That's not including other movies that he makes at the same time. This dude is producing shows. His schedule is completely full. Like he is a very active actor. Like whether he's
Hmm.
acting, he's a producer. His time is very limited. So you talking about if people don't let him know right away, or if he's taking on a big project, comic book related, that's gonna be a tall order for him to pull all that shit off, especially Beta Ray Bill. Like, how are you going? I don't think they're gonna have Beta Ray Bill just come in one scene. I'm pretty
Oh
sure they're gonna
no,
want Beta Ray Bill to come around multiple times.
Guaranteed.
oh no, yeah, he's gonna be some. I'm just saying he'll be a character that since heavy makeup. That's why there's a lot of people speculating that Christian Bale is gonna be Gore the God Butcher, and they thinking that's gonna be that. So he'll be in so much makeup, so it ain't you looking at Bruce Wayne in a Marvel movie.
Right. Well, I don't know what people are thinking about that. I'm like, Christian Bale is a great actor. Like the stuff
Yeah,
that he
but
did recently, Ford v Ferrari. I'm like, people are tripping. I'm like, he's not gonna be Batman. He's gonna be
yeah, no.
whatever character they tell him to be.
Oh yeah, I mean we know that, but you know how people typecast people.
Yeah,
Always
that's
want
true.
to.
They're
Christian
gonna be
Bale.
like, what is Batman doing? Yeah, I know. But to be fair though, it is an MCU movie. There's a 99.9% chance that no matter what character they cast Christian Bale in, that the majority of the audience is going to accept him because they have faith in Kevin Feige and anything MCU related until said project proves to be a failure. They're
Christian
going
Bale
they're
is a
going to
good
embrace.
actor, but I
Yeah.
didn't like him as Batman.
Oh.
I didn't like him as
He was
Batman.
alright. The
I
Bale stuff.
hated his voice.
Oh,
Threw me right out the
where is
movie,
it? Like
man.
I,
The
I I
Bale.
love that shit. It was so unique. I wish I would have been there during the creative process. Like, all right,
Swear
man,
to
how you gonna
me.
swear to me? Like, I would swear anything in the world. Action, like,
Bro, I remember when they showed the trailer for Batman Begins, I was like, oh, yes. And then right at the end of the trailer, when he comes down and he says, I'm Batman, I was like, what the is that?
I
I'm
think,
like, no,
man, I think
no.
Batman Begins. Like, there's an argument that Batman Begins is the best of that trilogy, and the reason why is because the origins. We get to see his training and stuff. We've never seen that
Mm-hmm,
before,
mm-hmm.
and they did it so well with the League of Assassins and the trickery of Ra's al
Yeah.
Ghul, how they incorporated the Scarecrow. That shit was legit.
And that, even
Yeah,
though they did take it serious, at least they didn't do it. That was kind of an Iron Man job they pull on us with the Ray Shaw Ghul thing too.
I
Right,
wasn't.
that's
'Cause,
right.
I wasn't a fan of Batman Begins either. I liked The Dark Knight, and that's it. I
I
didn't
like
like.
them. I like all of that series. I don't. I'm
Yeah,
not as thrilled about the one with Bane as I was the first two. I
Hey,
didn't.
Bane was fire. I love how
Bane,
they did
he
that.
was all right, but I don't know. I just that Joker probably just killed him. It wouldn't matter who they did after the Joker. I mean, Heath Ledger just. I
That's
wasn't
fair.
expecting that.
That's fair and that's slightly unfair at the same time because then the standards are so high, it's almost like a person would be
Well, I
unwilling
mean,
to
I
give
wanted to see. I
a
would
chance.
want to see it because I don't doubt nobody after Heath Ledger. I mean, after
Right,
that,
right.
if they
mm-hmm,
say somebody
mm-hmm.
playing something, you got to just wait and see. That's why I'm
He's
waiting to see Robert Pattinson as Batman because you don't know.
Heath Ledger is the reason
He's
why.
gonna do a good job.
Heath
And that
Ledger is the
dude,
reason why I like Dark Knight. Other than that,
That's fair.
I,
That is
I like the
completely
movies
I,
fair.
with him.
I wasn't feeling Two Face. I thought Two Face should have had his own movie. I think. You know what I mean? I think they just rushed him in and to get another villain.
I
But
I, I don't think they rushed Two Face because the movie itself,
I
Harvey
really didn't
Dent.
even think that he was gonna become Two Face in that movie. I thought it might have happened.
in another movie, right? Yeah, and he was
But
the
but but
villain.
see, to me, it wasn't rushed though, because like the movie itself, a lot of the time you saw Harvey Dent. The only reason that he became Two Face was part of Joker's plot, and it
Hmm.
was to serve the main plot. So with that in mind, because there was actual structure to it, then I was okay with that. There was nothing random about it. The movie was setting up for that to be a teachable lesson to not only Bruce Wayne but Jim Gordon as well. How you can take a good man and make him evil. And look at
Oh
how much
yeah,
shit
that's
he
the
did.
Joker whole thing. That was
Exactly.
he
That
did a
shit was
light version
powerful.
of the of he did a light version of Death in the Family.
Exactly. That shit was
That was
powerful as
that
fuck.
was that what he was trying to do in Death in the Family was break Jim Gordon the way he broke Harvey Dent.
And that scene was intense when Two Face had Jim Gordon's family and shit. I was like, oh man, what the fuck?
And if somebody, yeah, if they did Death in the Family live and got somebody to play a real good, convincing, crazy Joker, that would be a disturbing Batman movie.
Oh yeah.
That
That
guy
would
that
be
played Two Face, man, he's a good actor. I like him.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thomas
yeah,
Jane. No, that ain't
yeah.
Thomas Jane.
No,
No. Aaron
That's
Eckhart.
Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah.
Him and Thomas
I
Jane
liked
look
him in
alike.
that. He was Frankenstein. Shoot, well, that's
Ah,
a hell in that
Oh
movie.
yeah, I am
I did
Frankenstein.
not. I didn't like that movie. I thought it was
neither did
bad.
I.
But I liked
Oh, that's the
him,
Oh,
but
same dude
not the
who
movie.
made Underworld made that movie.
when that
Yeah.
sucker had them
No, I
steel
didn't know that.
thing, man, he beat the shit out of them damn.
Yeah, it has
It's moments.
entertainable
Hmm.
moments, but like it's again one of those movies where it has moments, but the story itself was terrible. I'm like, come on, man, like
Yeah,
you got to do better than this.
but yeah, that's
Let me
the
ask
guy
y'all
that
each one of y'all.
made Underworld made
Get
that movie.
get get one movie only. What is your all time favorite movie? It don't matter what genre it is, but this movie whenever it comes on TV, you can sit down and watch. Well, I'll give you two movies. Don't matter what genre.
Can I have
Whenever you sit down
200?
and watch, whenever it comes on, you always sit down and watch it. Let's start with Terrence. Let's keep
Um,
this brief.
can I say 200 or it has to be
No, 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 no. Two, man, two.
Man, that's really difficult to narrow all the films that I've seen down to just two, huh? Well,
Man, say
whenever
two.
Scarface comes on with Al Pacino, I could watch that anytime from whatever point I see it, was beginning, middle to end. I've seen Scarface so many times, right? Um, so if I had to narrow it down, Scarface is definitely one of them. Another movie where if it's on, I watch it. Um, I'd probably say like Conan the Barbarian, like the first one. I just kind of watch it when it's on. Like no matter what I'm doing, I'm like, hey, this is fucking Conan right here. So those two, I feel like even as I'm doing things, like I could be doing chores or anything, like I can put one of those movies on in the background and it'd be fine. Like I'll even stop sometimes just to watch a scene or even watch, an hour or whatever of it. So yeah, man. I guess those two that I've seen a lot.
Good movies.
Okay, what's yours, Jason?
For me, um, Empire Strikes Back is number one, of course. And my other two, or my second one, is like, I would say there are three because they're tied, but it's Usual Suspects, The First Saw, and Sixth Sense. Because I like movies with twist at the end, and those movies, the twist at the end had me
Yeah,
jumping out of my seat. So I put those in the second category.
some good choices.
Six Sense and Saw one.
What, pardon me?
You said
Sixth
a
Sense,
Six Sense.
Sixth Sense,
And,
Sixth Sense, the first Saw movie, and Usual Suspects. They all have twists at the end. So those, like, especially with Saw, to me, Saw was like, it was a good movie. But when the end came up, it was like, I was like, okay, this is sick. So Empire
Yeah.
Strikes Back, and then those three are my two. They're
gotcha.
tied.
All right, all right. What's up,
Oh,
JB?
oh no. Um, I think one probably gonna be Lost Boys because I've always liked that
Oh,
movie. That's still
yeah,
one of
that's
those
awesome.
movies every time
Hell yeah.
huh?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Last Boys.
That's awesome. There.
Hmm.
And
Wait, you talking about
and
the first one? You tell me it's the first one.
You said it's the first one, right? Not the
He
Lost
with
Boys Tribe, whatever.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first one.
No, I'm talking about the
Classic.
first one, the original,
Okay,
the
good.
one from
There's
my
like 2
childhood.
sequels.
Yeah, the original. Yeah, that's the best
Oh no,
one.
I ain't
Yeah,
never watched them
absolutely.
sequels. The Lost Boys is one that I can watch, and
No,
I kind
you
of
are
like The
one of
Sixth Sense, but
us.
Stir of Echoes.
hmm
I like
Stir of
Stir of
Echoes.
Echoes. I think Stir of
That
Echoes
was a good
is.
movie.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a good
Y'all,
movie.
I tell you about two, y'all gonna be like, what the hell is Danny smoking? But my first
What?
one is Shawshank. I love that.
Absolutely.
Shawshank Redemption.
Great
No,
movie.
that's a good movie, man.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah,
Great
that's a
I
movie.
still
great
think
movie.
that movie got
Mhm.
One of
robbed,
the
and I
best
like
movies
Forrest
ever
Gump, but
made.
I would give Shawshank Redemption an Oscar over Forrest Gump
Yeah, for
every day of
sure.
the
Man,
week.
man,
To me.
that's a hard one because Forrest Gump was the shit. Like, but I gotta
Forrest
say,
Gump good, but I like Shawshank better. I just like that. I tell you what made me give it to Shawshank over Forrest Gump, and I know it ain't Forrest's fault that they wrote him like this, but that he took Jenny back after all of that. I just can't forgive it.
I
I
wanted
ain't
her to
gonna forgive
die
it.
during that movie. Like, man, fuck
I
Jenny. She
I
did
want to
Forrest
go in there
wrong,
and
man.
drop kick her off of that, or drop kick
I'm
her right off that balcony while Freebird was playing. She'd
man,
have been a
man,
Freebird.
I love Shawshank.
Hey, hey,
I miss
Danny. That's awesome. I like that you said that. That made up for what you were saying earlier. Yeah.
Man,
With the Iron Man, right?
that man
okay.
recall all the way back
That's strike three.
to. You're out of
My
here.
next movie. Whew, y'all, now I know y'all. I might catch me.
I know what your next movie is.
No, you don't.
A little bit first bite.
Nope.
Kill
I do like that,
me
but
with
it ain't
that
that.
movie.
No, it's Searching
Let's
for Bobby
leave.
Fischer.
Oh, that's a good movie too. Searching for Bobby
That's a
Man,
Fischer is
good
a good
one.
movie.
man, I love that
Damn.
movie.
Oh, you know
Okay,
what you
Danny.
said that made me think of another movie that I want to put on that. Fresh. Fresh is a good movie
Fresh,
That's
yeah,
with
what.
Fresh was good.
That's what
with
Samuel Jackson,
Samuel
right?
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
his son
that guy,
playing
Daddy.
chess, and he sets up all the
Yep,
drug dealers to get him and his sister out of the hood.
that's like the
Yeah.
black version of Searching for Bobby Fischer.
Man, there's too many movies. Like, I would have to put Die Hard with a Vengeance as well. Whenever that shit come
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I gotta put Terrence favorite movie too. Hero
Oh, Last
classic.
Oh, of
Dragon.
course, the
Oh
Who's
last
the
yeah,
dragon,
master?
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
course.
Oh,
Who's
Of
the
Last
course.
Dragon.
show
Bruce
When
Lee
enough?
your
wrote and
time's over, boy.
show
when I
enough.
when I got my first VCR, I was sleeping by my cousin's house. I woke up in the morning. My parents had the VCR in the living room, and the movie they were playing was The Last Dragon. They
That's
recorded it
it,
for
boy.
me.
I'm gonna tell
That
you
was
what.
classic.
I never thought that they could that it should be any chance of that movie being remade. But after Dion Cole dressed up like Show Enough a few years ago for Halloween,
hmm
they need to make another Last
I,
Dragon
Yeah,
because he looks
I
just
wouldn't
like
mind
Show
seeing it, man.
Enough.
me too. I would like
He
a
I wouldn't
remake.
mind
looks.
seeing it.
I would like a remake.
I could see it being cool, but I don't see it topping the original. You know.
They wanted, but you know who I would get to do it? Michael Jai White, because the way they doing Black Dynamite,
That's show
that's the
enough.
approach they
Yeah,
need to take. With
yeah, I can see
Yeah,
him as
sure
show
enough.
enough.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he could be. I also saw Sam Jackson as Show Enough at one point as well. Like,
Oh
it just
yeah,
seemed
if
like
he was
the
younger, yeah, I
attitude
could
and
definitely
shit.
see him.
Mm.
He'd definitely be a good Show Enough. Just that voice and the pitch, and you know he gonna drop them MFs.
He was like, "Yep, it's mumbo jumbo like that."
It'll
No,
be who's the baddest.
yep, yep, catches bullets with his teeth. Yep.
Oh
Yep, if
man.
he was like show enough against King Kong, I was like,
Hmm.
do you see this damn big ass he trying to
Yeah,
damn do all that shit?
that man
Man,
was mad with King Kong, boy.
I'd have been done left him.
I'm gonna tell you, the
Yeah,
only
Said,
they,
person I ever see more hateful than him is Morgan Freeman on Dreamcatcher.
ah,
That was a hateful old man against them aliens on Dreamcatcher, son. Shot that
Mhm.
dude in the hand for letting the woman and her son pass.
Oh yeah.
yeah, he was hell.
hey,
He had them
hey,
little eyebrows, man.
Had
He
them
looked
big
like
old white eyebrows.
hey,
like,
what
damn.
Looked like
about
the eyebrows off of Brian Fury that Rutger Hauer cut off the man's face.
what
I'm
about
taking.
Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men? Man, he was a
Oh
fucking
my God, that's a true
Jesus.
psychopath right there.
I didn't really like that movie,
That
but he
is,
made that movie though.
man, that dude was
He made
wild
that
in that
movie.
movie.
When
Hey,
he
Ron,
walked in,
go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say when he walked into the store and made the man flip the coin,
Flip the coin.
I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh man, yeah.
like we
Did you
flipping for
let
everything. And
did you let like that Russian version of the I guess the Fantastic Four when the guy could turn to
going
like
with
a
the grizzly
bear?
bear man and they got with the
Yeah,
machine guns and stuff.
I still gotta
yeah.
watch that one, Danny.
Them
The one
Russian
where
movies
you
have
said he.
good. They have good stuff, like
Hey,
visual stuff
first of
sometimes, but they need better.
man,
They need people to work on it better because they got these two Russian movies called Night Watch and Day Watch, and they have some
that,
fantastic stuff happening in it. But they really need somebody to write better stories and make it more
that
So,
sucker,
cohesive.
so,
And
that sucker with the rocks, man, he was hell.
Well, we already
oh
got
yeah,
oh,
two.
same.
We already got two perfect Fantastic Four movies. They're called The Incredibles.
Yeah, I think you're talking
that
about
ain't
that last
critical.
Fantastic Four. That last Fantastic
No,
Four, I'd rather watch Green Lantern. I hate that with a passion because
So do
crazy.
I.
See,
Oh,
I
that
forgot
so
about
last.
do
that. That about on the Catwoman level because that one was pretty.
No, I
That was
watched
pretty
Yeah,
bad.
see,
Catwoman before
at
that.
least the other ones had Jessica Alba in it. That's sometimes in
I.
life. I mean, I thought it was kind of messed up that they're gonna make Jessica Alba invisible, but you know,
Um, the only thing about that last one, man, I didn't mind the blended family, but first of all, the human torch didn't need nothing to
I
represent.
didn't like how Doom looked.
I thought that was stupid. Doom was
Doom being a
that was
fucking
trash.
weirdo
That
in a
was
fucking
trash.
basement, that shit was stupid.
Yeah,
And
I
the
That
mean
was
they
powers
trash.
he
was
had, the
That was
powers he
trash.
just
had, I'm like, Doom
I
don't have
only
powers
liked
like
when he
that.
blew up that dude's head. I think that was the only
Yeah,
time where I
yeah,
perked up, like,
yeah.
oh, that was cool, and then I
hmm
went back to hating
hmm
the movie after that.
Yeah, for real.
this is getting dark.
Yeah, it was only I think the first 10 minutes of the movie when I was like, okay, we might have something here, and then
Uh,
after the
hmm
10 minutes, just
uh,
go.
No, 'cause I didn't like how they had Rich
Danny, you
Stone.
don't watch a lot of anime. You don't watch. You watch Dragon Ball Z mostly. Terrence, have you ever seen a live action movie called Goemon?
I heard of it, haven't seen it though.
That movie is whoever made that movie is they need to make every live action anime movie. That movie is so much like an anime with real people. It's insane. Like they
More than
capture all the key shots of anime and pull it off in live action and it looks good. They go
is it
from
better
the
than that
riding
one we watched
chase
with the guy that controlled lightning and rain? What was
the
that one?
Storm Riders. Oh yeah, it's way
Storm Rider.
better than that.
And
It's
Storm
got
Riders
these
was hell,
classic
boy.
shots on. Yeah, it's like they get in a fight and it's got stuff exploding and they running across the building tops. You know how they run on anime? They run the ninjas run across the building top from top to top with explosions going off behind them.
Javion,
From
did
that they
you?
jump on horses and take off through the woods and then they jump off the horses and start jumping across the branches in the trees, jumping through the branches
Did,
So it's
like
better than
Ninja
Hidden
Scroll or
Tiger,
something.
Crouching Tiger.
man, that movie
No, it
bothering
looks
me.
like how they do on Ninja Scroll and animes like that when the ninja, like you see a whole troop of ninjas just jumping through trees in the forest. That's how they do, chasing each other.
You got,
Then they
you
go
guys
out
may,
into the big open field and they start fighting with a ninja sword. One got a ninja sword and one got a shuriken like Naruto them, and they fighting with that in the middle of this open field.
Yeah.
you
But I
guys may
mean, it
hate
just
me.
looks
You
Wait.
guys may
as
hate me,
what?
but I was gonna say you guys may hate me, but Ninja Scroll is the only anime I like. That's the
Oh
only one
Yeah,
I
man,
the
there's
like.
Ninja
so many.
Scroll is
You
I
don't
good.
like
like
Ninja
Dragon Ball
Scroll, but
Z?
No, I don't watch Dragon Ball.
oh
No.
man, Ninja Scroll is good, but
Hold
there's a
up,
lot of other
I
good.
got something for Jason.
Oh man, see, I don't like Ninja Scroll and I'm leaving.
Okay?
I like Ninja Scroll and that's it.
You keep
Sorry,
talking about
Danny.
Dragon Ball. You keep talking about Dragon Ball.
Sorry, Danny, but I grew
Man,
up.
first and
Oh man,
last,
I like Ninja Scroll. I like
first
Roman
and last
Warriors.
invite on the show.
I
Let's give
like
it up for Jason. Last time
I
on
got
the
a
show. Let's see my hand.
you know bad talk Vegeta. Nobody talks bad about
Man, Vegeta is the
nobody
king.
puts
Bro. I don't care
Vegeta
what
in the
nobody
corner.
say. I don't care what nobody say. Out of all anime, I'm putting my money on Vegeta and
Have
Goku.
you know the meme where the people break out trying to fight when somebody telling somebody like a harsh truth? And they made
Mm-hmm.
one for Dragon Ball Z, and it's like Broly beat up Goku and Vegeta when they were Super Saiyan gods and all this and that, and they had to go run away for an hour and train and do fusion to come back and beat him. And the point was like, well, what's your point? Jiren couldn't knock him off of a platform, and that person flip out. They don't want to believe that Broly's
Did
stronger
you?
than Jiren.
I got a question for you guys. Did you guys see the Death Note movies made in Japan?
I have it.
Which one? Me neither.
I saw the live action one that was on Netflix. If that's what you're talking about.
No, like they had They made the one on Netflix. I actually saw that before I watched the Death Note anime. So as a movie, I was like, this is all right. It seemed like a lot of wasted potential. Then I watched the anime and I was like, damn, they didn't do a good job. Like, but then I noticed that they made like 4 movies or something like that of Death Note in Japan that are really accurate to the Death Note anime. So I was
Anime.
wondering if you guys had seen them.
I hadn't seen that. I say Netflix was getting into that, but like I said, the people who make Goemon, that's who need to be in charge of that because that movie is it's insane how much it's like an anime watching it for live action.
Yeah, because
And
let me think. Because I know the first 2 they covered the anime, and then the third one went off with L, right? And then the fourth one was terrible. That did his
mhm.
own thing. But those first 3, I thought were really, really close to the damn anime. That shit was good.
That Bleach movie they put out was real close to the anime.
Pat saying Vegeta
It's
versus Avatar Aang. Vegeta.
Vegeta? What the fuck?
yeah, I think Vegeta got that all day. I like Aang, but I don't think Aang want none of that.
Nah, he
Man
definitely
said
don't want none of
Aang.
that.
Come on, man. No, I'm sorry. You gotta watch
Nah,
Vegeta.
nah, definitely
Come
not.
on, man. Now Aang will get
Vegeta would,
wrecked.
would beat Aang on his worst day. Put it like
Aang
that.
is hell when
I'm telling
he
you.
learns all them different styles, but
I tell you, he better call on
mm-mm.
every avatar he want to fight and stay alive against Vegeta.
That's
Against
still not
Goku, maybe
enough.
because Goku jokes around, but
That's still
Vegeta,
not enough with Aang. Like Aang could call all his friends and family. They gonna show up and feel Vegeta's power, and they gonna retreat fast as fuck. It's just gonna be Aang by himself, and then he's gonna die.
And that's just in his regular form. Think if he ever get to back to the
Super
Daru
Saiyan.
monkey form.
Oh,
Shit.
what the hell? Yeah, he ain't even gonna need to go Super Saiyan 1 for that shit. I'd be surprised if he
That's
gotta
what
go
I
Super
want them to.
Saiyan 1.
That's what I want him to write into the story. He need to write something where Goku and Vegeta get their tails back.
Yep. I want to
Oh
see
yeah.
that. Well, so they could go to Super Saiyan 4 and then keep that form and
Well,
then
he
tap
don't.
into the god. Boy, that would be
I don't
awesome.
think he made Super Saiyan 4 canon. He kept.
Yeah,
You
like
guys are talking
GT.
Chinese to
I
me.
don't think he.
Yeah,
Aesthetic.
GT is
When you
not
say
canon.
Jason,
I said you guys are talking Chinese to me.
man, you better go watch it.
Jason, like, what the hell is this fucking Vegeta and shit?
Jason, now is the perfect time because you got time at
Jace,
home.
I've never even watched the Dragon Ball.
I'm telling you,
you
now's the
say you
perfect. Don't
you
watch
like
Dragon Ball. Don't watch
you
Dragon
only
Ball.
like Ninja
Go straight to
Scroll.
Dragon Ball Z.
I'll watch it. I'll give it a try.
You need to
Dragon Ball
check out.
Go to Dragon
What was
Ball
the
Z
show?
first.
You know what
Uh,
though? You gotta watch the whole Dragon Ball Z because I feel like if you watch the beginning and you fall off, you're
mhm.
not gonna get to the really epic stuff because the epic stuff don't happen till later. I mean, there's
Yeah,
some epic stuff in the beginning, like the Saiyan saga when you get to like Vegeta and Nappa, but it's really after that when all the most beast shit starts happening.
you
Yeah,
get to the
that's what I
Frieza
tell them.
saga and Boo
Even stop it.
and
Don't start at Dragon Ball because Dragon Ball suck. I don't like nothing about
Yeah,
Dragon
where's
Ball.
where's the
Start
What?
at
best
You
place to
didn't like
start?
start.
Dragon Ball when Goku was
No,
little?
no.
Damn.
You don't like. I ain't never watched that
Damn,
either.
Go
but
to
that
Dragon
Goku.
Ball Z
Z.
and
Mm-hmm.
start. Start from when
All right,
Raditz, his older brother, comes to Earth and go from there.
all
You
right.
Yeah,
I'm
ain't
gonna
no
check
Dragon
it
Dragon
out.
Ball
Ball.
was my shit though when I was a kid, but Dragon Ball Z is a
Oh,
million
Dragon
times
Ball was
better.
shit
If
when you was
you
a kid.
like
I agree.
James, if you
It was
like
awesome.
if you should check out Basilisk because I
I
think
will.
in Ninja Scroll is
I
you
think
go
Ninja
fighting
Scroll was
against
the
the
best.
Koga ninjas. And I'm
I
saying
I
you
have
will.
should
I
listened
think
check
Ninja
to
Scroll
that
was the
out
best.
because that deals with the.
check
I
out
definitely will.
Checker Man too. Me and J used to watch that all the time. Checker Man is hell, boy.
Oh
Man,
yeah, Tekken
I
but
Man.
will.
see, but see the thing, Jason, is that when Goku was a kid, man, he like the coolest little kid. Like you definitely want to be his friend. You want to go out on a journey with him to get them Dragon Balls. Like it makes you like the Goku character. So when you get to Dragon Ball Z, it just blows it up in your face. You're like, oh shit, they be getting down like this. That's why I think the whole journey is better. But I can see how if you start with Dragon Ball, you
Yeah,
might be like, man,
because Dragon Ball see him get too.
yeah, it's like on a smaller level because they
It
be
is.
tearing
It's
it up
like
in Z.
filler.
Yeah, so
Mm,
I could see why it's better to start with Z, but I don't know. I'm kind of the full picture kind of guy.
What I need is I want like what's the best episode you guys, because I have to watch like the best episode that you guys know about, and then I'll be like, okay, this is good, and then I can go back and watch
If I
it
was
all. You
you,
know,
if you want to be excited, watch the Tournament of Power first. Be like, whoa, then go back and watch because you learn how to get from
that,
there.
Whoa,
that's
wait, hold
yeah.
on. No.
Build up to
You gotta
that.
start. You gotta start with Goku versus Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z, and then you go from there.
Okay.
Like when they fight, when they
Well,
fight and shit, that shit is lit. When they first fight, oh man,
okay, I
if that
give them
don't
that.
make you a
That guy is
fan,
like
if that
being
don't
a
make
good
you a fan, something
photographer.
wrong.
Or either watch Goku versus Hit. To me, that was one of my favorite fights.
But okay,
Okay.
that's true. But that's in Super though. Like if you
I
want to
know.
talk about
Vegeta versus
yeah,
Imperfect Cell.
No, his
That's one of
question
my
was,
favorite fights.
what's one of the best fights he ever had? So there's
okay,
several
what
fights between Goku in the whole series. So I'm telling you, if you want to watch fights to whet its appetite to watch the whole series, like you said, Goku versus Vegeta is a good fight. Javion just said Goku versus Frieza. Right? I'll tell you one of my favorite fights was
Bro,
Goku
Vegeta versus
versus
Imperfect Cell whenever
Hit.
he
I
what went
think the
wrong,
Gohan
Cell?
versus Cell
You
was better.
had me.
Yeah,
I like
I
Gohan
just like the
versus Cell
trash that
was better.
Vegeta was talking before he let him go
yeah.
perfect. But
Vegeta
yeah,
talking
Man,
that's a
trash.
good
yeah, that's
Vegeta.
when Vegeta was fucking up. He was talking all that shit. I'm like, Vegeta, you don't know what you're doing, man. Vegeta.
He was hell. He
He
was
should
hell
have let him
before
get that last android
he should have let him absorb
before he
them
let
last
him get
android.
18.
Yeah,
He
so
wouldn't
yeah,
let him
you,
get
you gotta
Yeah.
watch
18.
those. But
He would have
Goku
had him.
versus Frieza, man, I think that was the one that tipped it off. Because Goku Vegeta, that shit was epic. But when you get to like Goku versus Frieza, how long they fight, how they're all battered and bleeding and shit. That was the shit where, okay, at that point,
Oh,
anybody that was
Goku versus
reserved,
Captain Ginyu is a good one too.
that
And
was,
that goes
but
through
I
some
feel
stuff.
like he's trying to whet his appetite. So I feel like that Goku versus Frieza, because I feel like Goku versus Ginyu, that's a good one. But I feel like when you get to Goku versus Frieza,
Him and
especially
Frieza
when
go
Goku
through it. They
especially
battle.
when Goku is a Super Saiyan, oh shit, man,
Okay, when the Aang start taking people powers, I ain't never saw Aang on that.
He
He has that power now.
he took the Fire Lord power because he talked to some giant turtle on one episode, and the turtle showed him a way to take people power bending from him, and that's what he did to the Fire
Yeah,
Lord.
bending, but he can't take nobody else. Like he could take Vegeta powers.
Oh no,
That's
if
what
you got
Johnny
bending, he
Xbox
can
said.
take your bending, but
Yeah,
I don't
Vegeta's
know if
not
that
a
would work.
bender.
That would I don't know if that would
Vegeta's not a
translate over
bender.
to
He's an
everybody
ass
power
kicker. I don't think he can take an ass kicker.
because
But we'll
if
agree to
he want to
disagree
play
on
that
that.
game, he don't want to play that game with Rogue because she'll win.
Terrence, are you looking at the clock, Terrence?
That's like
absolutely not. Why
Huh?
would I be looking at the
if
clock?
Okay, because I told
he
you
trying to
I
get
only give people
this
180
3 hour
minutes of my
conversation.
time, and you about
Danny, see
17 minutes.
this is
Um,
why our world is in shambles. You gotta learn how to do the 10-hour streams.
Bullshit. You ever heard
you got
him
to
say
give the
no?
people entertainment in this time of quarantine.
Got to give Danny what the hell he wants, and that's 3 hours. Okay.
Well, we're not at 3 hours though. We're at 2 hours,
Yeah,
43
I gotta
minutes,
get
and
my
56
Yeah.
seconds.
phone about to die.
These last 17 minutes
It
better be
just
good.
died.
Damn, bro. Let's play the computer at the house. You got no
Damn,
phone.
damn, that seemed like he got lost in that time travel. We got
He's gone.
Damn. Maybe he'll come back. Hey, you gone?
damn.
Yeah.
See, we gonna be dropping out next. The Avengers gonna kill us all.
Negative.
Or Danny's gonna do it. He's like 3 hours. Okay,
Right, right.
I
snap.
That's
know
it.
Danny gonna do the snap himself. Like then the Avengers gonna do it.
Exactly.
I'm Thanos, not Thanos. I'm Thanos.
They over there snapping and shit like it's a holiday. Hey, look at me. I'm doing a snap. Now I'm gonna do it.
Me and Terrence are just gonna fade to dust.
I know, right? The last thing I'm gonna say, I'll be like, 10 hours.
Well, we can do it again tomorrow. I'm off for the next 5 days, so I ain't got nothing to do. So,
Oh, you said 10 hours tomorrow.
negative. I say I'm off for the next 5 days. For the
Oh,
next
okay.
5 days, this is day one. I ain't gonna go back to work till Monday. So if y'all want to do this again tomorrow at 3, I'm open for that.
I wouldn't mind coming back on, Danny. I had a great time, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So that would be tomorrow again at 1 p.m. My time, or
Yep. I mean,
okay.
that's if you want to. I'm just throwing that out.
Now is this going to be another edition of Equilibrium, or how we tackling this?
It could be whatever. You gotta do what we doing. It don't matter. I mean, like I said,
I think it should probably just be a different title because we don't want to confuse people like they're used to it being on Sunday, and then all of a sudden it's like every day of the week.
I got you. But like I said, we still got a few more minutes. Putting it out there. I don't know what my brother's schedule is. He worked at he's a manager at a local grocery store. I don't know
So let me ask a
what his schedule
question.
is. Yes,
You
sir.
guys have the whole DC, the whole Marvel universe. What's the one fight you would like to see between anybody in those two universes?
I
I've
want to see
already
Batman and Doom.
I've already seen
Okay.
it. It's happened like where you had Superman using
The
Cap's
Marvel
shield
versus
and
DC.
Mjolnir, yeah, and fucking Superman took out all the fucking villains from both Marvel and
Mm-hmm.
DC.
Mm-hmm.
That shit was scary. that was that was some shit that I didn't know I wanted to see because Superman don't need either one of those weapons, but the fact that he
Mm-hmm.
has it, it's like when you give a hack person extra material, it's just like okay,
So he
so
had Captain America's shield and Thor's
and,
hammer.
yes,
Damn.
so that is hell. Like we're talking about Cap was like here, Thor here, and just at the same time, you actually had the picture on one time. Danny, like I think it was like on your standby screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like yeah, that shit is just crazy. Like it's one of those things where when you get into those conversations about Superman, it's like I'm telling you, man, this dude
I
is
can
crazy.
imagine. I like the intellectual superheroes and stuff. And to me, as you can see on my avatar, I think Batman is the most dangerous man in DC. Doctor Doom ain't no
Yeah,
slow leak either. So I like to see them two go at it from a
I'd
standpoint.
Um,
actually
Could you imagine them two working together on something like Crisis?
for real.
um, yeah,
I,
that
I,
would
I,
be crazy, but I'll one up that. You know, Batman working with essentially the entire DC multiverse. That's better than him just working with Doctor Doom because you have to factor in that in order to deal with the anti monitor, they had to consult everybody. Anyone who is anyone ever had to be consulted because either their universe had already been wiped out or they're seconds away from getting wiped out because you literally had one universe being wiped out every second. So that
Mhm.
means if we have a 2 minute conversation, that's 120 universes that have been destroyed in that time span. Think about that. That's fucking insane. Like even Batman needs time to plan, right? So just think about that. How many lives were lost in just 2 minutes? That's some scary shit.
yeah.
For real. I'd like to see Hulk and Doomsday.
Doomsday would win.
Ooh, that'd be
You think
good.
so?
No, I
You
know
think?
so. They did. Have you seen the death battle where they put Doomsday against Hulk and they
Yeah,
Um,
explained why he would
yeah,
win?
but it could be alternate though, just like they did the Darth Vader Batman thing. Yeah,
No, no,
alternate.
no. That's a different channel. That's Bat in the Sun. Like Bat in the Sun, they do the live action ones,
mhm,
and their
mhm,
whole fights are based on like in terms of who would win and lose is based on fan votes. And the only time that they do alternate is if the voting is close. Death Battle does it by facts, not by who people think should win, because facts beat everything. They beat opinion. So you look at the history of Doomsday and how his body works in comparison to Hulk. There is no comparison. I thought that was a terrible matchup. I just thought it was people in the comment section like, let's put monster against monster. I'm like,
mhm,
that's not even fair. That's
mhm.
completely unfair. Like Doomsday, Doomsday was destroyed by Superman and came back and fought him again. And it took Superman a hell of a lot just to take out Doomsday for him to only come back. Like Doomsday is casually taking powerful blows from Superman like it's nothing. And then he's getting
Kill Superman.
stronger and he's adapting. The Doomsday adapts to everything. Once you attack him with something once, it doesn't work on him a second time. You can't do it again. Like you would have to be a character that has the power to blink him out of existence. I mean, next to that would be Superman, but Superman dealt with them, but again, he came back later when Superman was older. But Hulk, like Hulk's strength works on the basis of him getting stronger over a period of time. Doomsday
Mm-hmm.
is what he is. He doesn't need time. He just is. And he's already on a stupidly strong level, plus his ability to adapt. And Hulk can be exhausted in a way that Doomsday can't. There is no exhaustion for Doomsday. There's just only raw, crazy ass power and adaptability. It's almost it's almost impossible to kill him unless you have to be stupid strong like Superman, but then he'll just come back anyway. And the Hulk on no matter what form it is, like especially most of them, like he's nowhere near like Kryptonian strength. It would take him forever to build up to a Kryptonian's level strength. Even like a basic Kryptonian. We're not even talking about like Zod or Superman or
Mm-hmm.
Supergirl. We're talking about just the basic Kryptonian that just left Krypton and they just wanted to, roll with Zod or something like that. Their strength is too much. So I just like how they pretty much break it down like how I did in terms of what are the best scenarios from these characters. And I feel like a lot of people need to hear that because initially when they think that a lot of stuff are good matches, really they're not. And like that's the
Mm-hmm.
only channel that I've seen that really has the ability to break all that down for people where it's like, you think this is good, but not really. I feel like it's more cool than it is a good fight. Just like when they put, they Death Battle, they work off of people's recommendations. If there's enough votes, then they do that. Like the whole, what was it, Doctor Fate versus Doctor Strange. I'm like, that's a fucking
Mm-hmm.
slaughter. I already knew Doctor Fate would wreck him. It doesn't matter what version it is. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, DC's characters on average are too powerful. You have to reach into like the deep pantheons of Marvel to get on the average level of what you would get from a casual DC character. And any person that you can grab from Marvel, DC has the same thing, if not more powerful. In the case of Doctor Strange, you got Doctor Strange or Doctor Fate to deal with someone like him. It just there's
Mm-hmm.
always someone that you can pull out to combat that person. To where, like with Marvel, they may need an entire team to equal the power of one character. You know what I mean? Like you can put the entire Avengers team up against Superman, but
Mm-hmm.
Superman is already too much by himself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need the whole Justice League versus the Avengers, even though that'd be cool. But I'm like, the Avengers are much more basic in their power. You got exceptions like Hulk and Thor, but DC's characters are just too much. Even their human characters, like look at Batman. That's a human, but he behaves as though he has powers because
Mm-hmm.
his feats are very, very extraordinary. This dude is dodging Darkseid's Omega beams, and that's said to be impossible to dodge, by the way. But Batman does it because he's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't happen. Like DC's characters, they're written in a way to be hacked. Like when people are like, "Oh, that doesn't make sense," then how can anybody fight them? Well, DC characters can fight them. They're written in a way to be able to deal with the hackness of the characters that they interact with. Like Marvel's characters are a lot more, they're more relatable, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
more down to earth and stuff like that. They're not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily as powerful on a regular basis. So that's why
More human.
people, exactly, they're more humanized. Like DC has these
Mm-hmm.
fucking ultra supreme characters, gods walking among us kind of thing. To where
Mm-hmm.
really, when people say stuff like, I can't relate to Superman because he's practically a god, I'm like, okay, I see where you're coming from, right? But really, I tell them you can relate to him, and they usually give me that face, and I go, well, you have emotions, don't you? Superman was
Mm-hmm.
raised by humans. He feels anger, rage, sadness, depression. just like any human. In fact,
Hmm.
it's his human qualities that fucks him over more than anything. It's never a
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
situation where he's not strong enough. It's because of his human traits is what gets him fucked over the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he were to disregard that and be like Zod, he would kill so many people so quickly in terms of like villains specifically, right? Like he would just
Hmm.
wreck them. But he always
Hmm.
wants to reason with you. Oh, don't do this. I believe in you. And then he'll let loose eventually. So his biggest
Hmm.
weakness is the fact that he's human in terms of
Hmm.
how he conducts himself. He thinks that all life is precious. You don't want nothing to happen to the humans. You don't want nothing to happen to the animals. That's the part that you can relate to with the DC character like Superman.
Hmm.
He's essentially the best human being on the planet without really being human because he's Kryptonian. He
Hmm.
exhibits the best characteristics of what the best human should be on how you should care about one another. He's the ultimate symbol and the ultimate hero for a reason.
Absolutely. Because to be honest with you, if he wanted to kill everybody, he could. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like if he went bad and just said, "I'm killing everybody," not even Batman could stop him.
no, because he all he would have to do is fly up into the sky and just completely blow up the planet. Because
Yeah,
his
exactly.
like a lot of people they don't know how powerful his heat vision is and how the range works, right? Because in
Hmm.
live action, they haven't really shown that. Like it's not so much just straight lines like how people are accustomed to.
Hmm.
This shit can expand really, really far to basically destroy a planet, just turn it into less than dust if he wants to. That's how wide it can expand. And he also can crank up the intensity to where it can get 10 times hotter than the sun if need be. And then it can get even hotter than that if he decides to, charge himself up via the sun, the longer he's in contact and stuff like that. There are different variables, but there's virtually no limit because we haven't seen Superman's limits. He's always he's Superman. It's like whenever you think he can't do something, you'd be wrong to count him out, no matter the situation, because what DC writers have done is that they've found ways to put him in every situation. And the reason why is because DC fans, readers that read their stuff, they like to see Superman in different say, well, what if he went against this person? What if he didn't
Yep.
have his powers?
I
What
think
if
I
he
lost
went
you guys
against
for
the
a second.
person? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what if he went against somebody with magic? They put him in all these what if scenarios. And Superman, if he's not killed in that storyline, he always manages to come out, sometimes with ease, sometimes barely. But the Man of Steel is respected, and they built schools and museums about him in the DC universe because of the great example that he sets. Like, man, how can I be like this dude? So and when he
Hmm.
beat Doomsday, like, or at least when he went into a coma and shit, like the world just being in
Hmm.
mourning that they lost him, like that was a powerful thing. Like I think that Marvel has
Yeah,
tried to copy that
yeah.
storyline so many times.
Let's answer this question here. Lobo versus Deadpool.
They can do it because they don't have.
Uh,
Wait, what was that, Jason? Yeah, Lobo.
Lobo
Uh,
versus Deadpool. Who would win that?
um, they would probably like.
Lobo.
I think they would probably cancel each other out for the most part. Um, now
Both of them
Lobo,
got regeneration powers. So
he does. I
he would
think
have
that
to
yeah.
Deadpool would have to totally destroy all his cells or something to kill Lobo, I would assume.
Yeah. Like I think Deadpool's regenerative capabilities is just slightly better than Lobo's, but not by much. And it's like I think for the most part, if they're just fighting, they'll just cancel each other out. But if Lobo can get a hold of, like, say the Omasa blade, which is held by Shang Chi, that's actually the one weapon that can kill people like Wolverine and Deadpool. If he
Mm.
gets a hold of that, then Deadpool is done. But if that doesn't happen, I feel like they'll just kind of be fighting all day, and really, it's up to the writer to determine who would win because that's an interesting one because it can go either way, and it really just depends. But I feel like that's like an endless fight until one can really figure out something specific to permanently make sure that the other one doesn't come back. But
Gotcha.
Well,
if you're asking me which character I like better, I like Lobo better. I'm not the biggest fan of Deadpool. Like even with the movies, I love the movies because Ryan Reynolds is perfect as a character, but
Hmm.
he's never been one of my favorites. And just because the movies came out, I'm not gonna be like a lot of humans, like, yeah, he's my favorite character, and they didn't know nothing about him. I knew
Hmm.
about him, but I'm more drawn to the serious characters than I am the silly ones. There are some exceptions, but I was more interested in how they're gonna do the Deadpool movies and what that would mean for other mutants that have interacted with Deadpool, what I can see there. But I love the Deadpool movies, but I feel like for me personally, I feel like the Lobo character is more intriguing to me. But
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Terrence, bro, it is 181 minutes. I've given you 1 minute more than what I promised you. I feel like I'm ahead of the game. Unlike you, I have a wife, a daughter, and two grandboys who steady calling me to come outside and play with them. So I think I'm gonna go outside and play with them. But
why did
I
this
won't,
sound like you? This is a scene where you're gonna leave me on like an abandoned planet. Like, yep,
I'm
Terrence,
not.
unlike you.
I'm not gonna leave them back. But like you say, you don't want marriage and all that kind of stuff. Well, we're at 25 years. I'm gonna play with my grandson. They said he knocking on the door. I will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. No, 4 p.m. If y'all want to come. It's not gonna be
4 p.m.
equilibrium. It's gonna just be three guys talking like we're doing today. If is that cool with you, parents? Tomorrow at 4 or 1 your time.
Um, so yeah. I'll definitely try to make that. Just send me the link and then
But tell me a better
I can.
time. I'll work around your schedule. Like I said, I ain't got nothing to do for the next 5 days.
If
Or
anything, it'll be like when you send me the link, I'll either be like, it's cool, or I might be like, give me an hour. I guess it just depends on how it goes tomorrow, but it should be.
that'll work. How about you, Mr. Miller?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm down.
All right. Um,
I'm down.
Thank y'all for coming. I had a fantastic time. I'll text you my brother to come. I may invite somebody else. Um, whatever questions y'all want to come up with any between now and then. That's fine. We're gonna shoot for 4 p.m. tomorrow, the same time. People in the chat, thank for your questions, thank for your support. Again, if this is the first time you've seen my channel or seeing this show, Equilibrium, please subscribe to my channel. Please, I'm trying to get to 1,500 subscribers by Father's Day. I think that's doable. I can only do it with your help, only do it with your support. Please share the link, tell your friends. I'm
Um,
comment chat on YouTube. I'm comment chats on Twitter. Every Monday night, one of my shows is Chaotic Conversation, where we do topics like this. Tomorrow night, I'll be on Chris Knight's show, the Weekly Rumble. That's a very good show. Check it out if you can. It's at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This Sunday, me and Terrence will be back on again on Equilibrium at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So don't miss it. Guys, you want to say anything before we go?
I
oh,
just want to say thanks for having me. I had a great time, and
Not a
I
problem,
really
man.
appreciate it, man. It was really good. Thanks, Danny. Like you're giving me an opportunity to try something I'm interested in doing, so I really appreciate that. You too, Terrence, man. I appreciate that, guys.
Thank you for
oh,
joining us, man. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
um, yeah, I always have fun talking to Danny and about different things. And Jason, man, you're a cool guy. I'm glad you decided to join us. I like you. I like
Thanks, man.
questions and the interaction, the back and forth. I found it to be rather enjoyable, for real.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, people. Till next time, stay safe.